Hello, and we are live with episode 13 of season 7 of The Sausage Factory. I'm your moderator, Pizzal. Joining me tonight is Easy E. What's up, Easy E? How are you, buddy?
Hey, I am doing awesome. Good to see you, man.
Cool. There's that phantom hissing again. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know. That's odd. 2 weeks in a row, man. 2 weeks in a row. Whatever you did, Eric, it sounds bad.
Maybe that's me.
Is a microphone near Orc's stomach?
It's near my asshole, actually. But hang on. Oh, sorry, just let it slip out.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Let's go. So Eric is with us again 2 weeks in a row. Always good to see Eric. Also with me tonight's Jay the Stingray. What's up, Stingray?
What's crack-a-lackin', fellas? Glad to be here, as always.
What are we drinking tonight, Stingray?
Oh, man, I got something special for you tonight. This is Starbucks Plus. It's got twice the amount of caffeine.
Oh.
Whoa.
Probably tastes terrible, but,
Cool. Also with me tonight is Lauren. What's up, Lauren?
I'm here. I'm awake. I'm not working, so I'm happy.
Cool. And with me tonight, eating some very, very delicious looking pizza, is Orc. What's up, Orc? What kind of pizza we eating there, man?
I have a 5-cheese pizza with Canadian bacon, fitting because I got the Canadian flag right there. But bacon is bacon. You know, ham is ham. They just don't understand. It's like when you order pizza from any fast food or any pizza place, they go, "Do you want bacon?" I'm like, "Yeah, like bacon." And then they're like, "Breakfast bacon or Canadian bacon?" I'm like, "Bro, the shit that's on Epic Mealtime." You know what I'm saying? Well, I gotta make it difficult. Fuck it.
Oh, no.
Well, it looks yummy. So I'll
Let's wait. Close up. DVD update, pizza update with Orc. Oh yeah. Wait, hang on, it might fall off. Oh shit! Look at that. Oh man, I just came right there.
Eric, why don't you try your headset again? We're getting some feedback from you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Orc here. I mean, not Orc. Eric, your speakers are turning me on, dude. They're sexy. Yeah.
Well, while Eric's getting that taken care of, let me ask you guys: have you seen any movies since we were together last week?
I saw your dad.
Really? I hope you told him that he owes about 40-something years, around 40 years of child support.
Holy shit! Damn. Well,
So,
you got my dad beat. No, I'm just kidding. Real talk though. I saw the Bundy film that you just reviewed. Amazing.
Oh,
amazing.
Yeah, extremely wicked.
Like 50 words, but John Malkovich is a badass, and James Hetfield's like, "Yeah, you busted." It's like,
yeah. I really enjoyed it. I
gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd, but like legit rating, like I'd give it 7.5 out of 10 if I was like with an honest rating. Really, really good.
is this the Zac Efron?
Yeah.
Cool. I've kind of been avoiding it just because, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of, like, High School Musical and shit.
No, check it out. He actually does a really good job as Bundy. I mean,
Don't be, man. He plays a savage. He's so good in the film.
I kind of like
John Malkovich is the judge. Oh my god, like Oscar worthy.
I kind of liked him in Baywatch. I don't know. Again, Baywatch was kind of a not. I don't know. It seemed like the kind of movie Lauren would hate, but I kind of enjoyed it. It was sort of stupid but funny.
Well, why do you think I hate Baywatch? I hate Baywatch, by the way, but why do you think?
Just because I don't know. There's just something about like those sort of very glossy studio, big budget comedies that. Perhaps I'm generalizing about you, Lauren. I just had a feeling that wouldn't have been your cup of tea.
Can you generalize about a single person?
Well, that's true. I'm not sure that I could. Maybe I could jump to a conclusion. Maybe that's more.
Generally
There you
speaking, comedies and me don't work. So
Baywatch was probably better than it should have been, but I don't know. I had a good cast.
It had Alexander Daddario, and that's really all I need.
That's why I watched it.
But no,
Well, the show is great too because of the holy grail of porn films back in the day. That's Hasselhoff, Pamela
Oh
Anderson.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm all about that shit.
good times, man.
Yasmin Bleeth.
I-
Go on for a while.
That's a great adult video too. She's like, "Steer the boat, baby," and he's like, "Okay, I'll use my dick."
Oh God.
Who was Nicole Eggert? And she was on there for a little while.
Mhm.
I only just discovered that there were some alternate scenes filmed for Baywatch's pilot in Europe that have nudity. I discovered this like a week or two ago. And the actress doing the nudity, I think, is the naked lady from Nightmare 3, the one who turns into Freddy. She's got the kid strapped to the bed. I can't remember the actress.
Oh, that's hot, man.
Anyway, random. Sorry,
But yeah, you should check out Extremely Wicked. Whatever. I can't remember the rest of it, but you should check it out. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Efron's good, man, and Malkovich when he's playing the judge, dude, he's a savage, man. Think of like Rounders, the Russian dude, but like 10 times better. Like anything Bundy says, he just all of his responses, he just like the most hard ass judge you could ever see, played by Malkovich. It's I can't. Words don't give it justice, man. Just check it out when you can. It's awesome.
Malkovich is always good. There's nothing surprising to me about.
Oh
that.
no, but in this role, Piz, like when Bundy says a few things, especially towards the end, like what he says to him, like about how his future is going to be and stuff. Oh man, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff. You guys should check it out. I was a little trepidatious about it because of Zac Efron, but and it's directed by Joe Berlinger, so that kind of eased my suspicions a little bit. But anyhow, anybody see anything else?
I've seen nothing.
Nothing.
Oh man, the only thing I've seen really of mention. Well, I saw The Dirt. I finally got around to watching that.
I like that.
And yeah, man, I really didn't know what to expect, but it's like a full-on like movie, and it's kind of like self-aware, and I kind of like the way they did it. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't sure what to really expect of it, but I thought it turned out really well, and I dug it a lot. Good stuff.
And I also saw Turtle Power, the definitive history of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a documentary from a few years ago.
What?
Picked that up.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, me either. Someone posted it on Twitter or Instagram. It was actually Karate Popcorn, I think, is a friend of the show.
Shout out to Robin. She's a badass. Can I get a real talk?
Real talk.
Go ninja, go. Pew, 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 pew. All right, never mind.
Oh my god.
But anyway,
good
yeah,
stuff.
she had posted, and I was like, that looks cool. So I picked it up on Amazon for pretty cheap, and yeah, it was real interesting.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Actually, I watched the other day the new Hitcher Blu-ray media book that was released from Nameless Media, and I don't know if you guys saw my review or not, but it's really good transfer. It's a 2K transfer. Looks great. Finally got a good quality Blu-ray release for the Hitcher, and even though it's marked as being region B, it's region free. Play anywhere.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Actually, I saw somebody had commented on the video that they picked it up on Amazon.de for like $25. Now I don't know how much it'd be to ship, but $25 for that's a good deal. Because usually those media books go for like $30-$40 easy. So actually, I think it was Cameron who posted saying that he picked it up on Amazon.de for $25. So pretty cool. And because that now a lot of these companies like Umbrella Entertainment, for instance, they'll release a movie marked as region B, but it'll be region free because they don't own the rights to different movies. Get the rights to a movie to distribution will be different in different territories. So I'm hoping that if Nameless Media had to mark it as being Region B, that maybe a company's currently working on a Blu-ray for Region A release, which would be cool.
You would think so. I mean,
I don't know what the deal is with that movie, why it hasn't been. But yeah, I'm shocked that it hasn't. But that does give me hope that somebody does own the rights to it, other than Columbia TriStar, I guess. And they're working on a Blu-ray now, which would be very cool. But anywho, that's a really nice
I saw
Blu-ray.
2 sports documentaries as well, which were pretty amazing.
Okay.
One was called Eddie Strongman. It's about, the strongman competitions where you carry boulders and like toss the keg over the huge ass pole and shit. And 2 years ago, he set the deadlift record. It was like 1,100 pounds. But it just like, it basically goes through following him day to day leading up to Strongman, and how he, plays sixth and then he plays fourths, and he keeps like working to get better and try and win it. And he doesn't in the documentary, but he gets paid to go do speeches to like speak to other people about, really lifting crazy weights and stuff. And he's like, it's full dedication, man. Like he's really British, and he's like, if you're not ready for your eyeball to pop out of your head and put it back in, and this isn't what you needed to be doing in life. Well, that's kind of like Australian, but you get the deal. But Eddie Strongman was good. And then there's one just called Tyson, and it came out 10 years ago, but it's the main story of Tyson up to 2008. And it's just hilarious. Like, this white guy owns this huge Victorian house, came from nothing, and was his trainer when he was coming up, when he was like 15 and 16, and he was being destroying everybody as an amateur boxer. And like when Tyson first moves into his house, because that guy takes care of him, he's like, this house was huge. It has 4 bathrooms and 5 bedrooms. And my first thought was, I'm gonna rob this motherfucker's ass. But he's like, but then it's like, it's amazing his story, because I know, there's probably people in the chat who are like, fuck sports, but it's a really bittersweet story, because they ask him, they're like, how are you still alive? Because you've had so much stress and you have medical problems and stuff like that. And he's like, if it wasn't for training Mike Tyson and turning his life around and getting him off the streets of Brooklyn, like, I'd probably be dead. So he does that for like 3 or 4 years, and then he dies like 2 or 3 months before Tyson wins the title. And then when Tyson wins, that's like all he could think about. He's like, man, I just, like with anyone, if their parents pass away or anything, and they achieve something great, he's like, man, I wish he could have been here to see me, achieve this. And yeah, it's both of those are good documentaries, but yeah, the Tyson one's hilarious. He's like, I could have robbed this fool. Fuck this guy.
Just imagine if Tyson hadn't gone to jail. Like what would have happened,
Yeah, like being the
Maybe he
champion
shouldn't
at
rape people.
Yeah, imagine if he didn't rape people.
And then like how bad Don King effed him over and stuff. But just being, what was he, the champ? I forgot his age, like 19 or 20, heavyweight champion of the world. He's got like tigers and cars and like mink coats and mansions and shit. And another thing that he says in the documentary, which was hilarious, he's like, during his last 2 fights where he gets destroyed, but he just wants to take a payday, he's like, oh no, it was about Don King, how Don King screwed him out of a lot of money, and he's like, so the money got settled, and I got a small amount of money. It wasn't much. It was like $25 million. And I was like, holy fuck, that's a small amount of money. And then one of the greatest things he ever said, it's kind of like Mercedes-Benz, like their tagline, the best or nothing. That's what I thought about when he said this. He says, I'd rather be completely broke or filthy rich. I don't want to be anywhere in between. And I was like, you're the man, Mike. Like he doesn't want to be just normal at all. He just wants to be like basically living in poverty or just like 100 mil plus to his name. And then his last few fights, he knew he was going to get his ass kicked, but he just took like, $10 million paydays. But those are both really good. But I'll get off the subject, but check those out.
Cool. Let's give some shout outs here to our audience. Joe Bob Tarheel was the very first one here tonight. Joe Bob, how's it going, buddy? DJ Donley, John Avenger 71985. What's up, man? Barbecue Network, the White Trash Jedi. Josh O'Brien, what's up? Mauro Galarza, how's it going, man? Movie Man 95.
I have to say, the White Trash Jedi is one of my favorite names I've ever seen, and I've been on the internet for 20 years. Amazing.
DJ Donnelly is disappointed that you don't have any pepperoni on that pizza orc. You let him down.
Thought he did.
No. It was a ham.
Ham.
I'm like I like actually pepperoni is my least favorite meat. If we're doing the, can I get a real talk, Jay?
That's a real talk.
Pizza rankings, bacon, like bacon comes first. Then I put ham second. Then actually chicken third. Hamburger's pretty good. Pepperoni's probably the last meat I'd put on, even though I like them. But yeah, it's just how I roll.
Oh man, I used to work at Little Caesars.
Oh
I'd
my
make
God!
some
Well,
crazy good stuff there.
We've
Crazy
hit
bread,
food.
man.
We've hit food. Lauren, you can lead us into a Friday the 13th later. But man, Little Caesars is the shit. Papa John's, Domino's, Pizza Hut, just amazing pizzas. Yeah, but if I just feel like I want to kill myself, instead of doing that, I'll think about that later. But I'll just get like an extra cheese pizza, like when you go into the pizza apps, and I'll just be like, just give me like 5 pounds of cheese, and then I'll just have a whole pig worth of bacon just on top. Just that's what I'll get. And Parmesan, you gotta sprinkle it on top. Like the Salt Bay guy with the salt.
Mm-hmm. We
Okay.
hear you. We hear you.
Yeah.
We hear you.
All right, I'm gonna try and shut the fuck up. I love you guys.
Have any of you guys been watching Barry on HBO?
Mm-mm.
Not yet.
It's highly recommended. It's and again, maybe you might not like it because it's got Bill Hader in it, but I was always a big fan of Bill Hader when he was on SNL, and the premise of the show is basically Bill Hader is a hitman. He was a Marine, but he's a hitman, and he comes back and he kind of just starts like hating himself. And he goes to LA and he's like trying to become an actor and quit being a hitman. And I can't really explain why I think it's so funny, but I think the best part about it, like Bill Hader is maybe one of the least funny people on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stephen Root, the stapler guy from Office Space and the judge on Justified, and again, like a million things. He plays like Barry's handler, and he's hilarious and skeezy. But the show, like the thing that I think you guys would dig about the show is it is super dark. Like there is some fucked up stuff that happens in the show, and it's sort of strange how the show could like do like a really comedic scene, and then like all of a sudden it will transition and like something really nuts is going on. And it's like only 30 minutes or maybe not even. So like maybe 25 or so. So if, again, you don't want to make a huge investment, you wouldn't have to kill yourself to watch an episode or two, but highly recommended.
I have to ask this real
check it
quick.
out.
Since you guys watch way more TV than I do, and I'm just the noob in general at everything I do in life, HBO versus Netflix, they're the two kings. HBO is first. Netflix is taking over the world. Out of those two, if you could only pick one for, I guess, original television programming, which one would you pick? Which one do you prefer?
I'm sorry, out of which options?
So out of Netflix originals or anything HBO makes, that's obviously an original for them. Which one do you, if you had to just pick one to watch?
HBO.
Yeah.
Without question.
HBO.
Because Netflix is original. I'm trying to think. Like I even like I would have cited like maybe House of Cards, but I didn't even bother to watch the last season of that.
Well, you got like
I don't
House of
think anybody
Cards,
did.
House of Cards, Narcos, Stranger Things.
Well, Stranger Things is good, and I just heard Manhunters, the second season of that awesome like FBI profiler show that was out like a year and a half ago is finally coming back. I heard in August, so keep your eye open for that. But I mean, that's what 2-3 shows.
No, and then the new one.
Off.
I haven't checked out Manhunter yet, and that's 4 shows I think. But the 5th show, Ozark, is fucking awesome. Oh
Ozark
my god,
is good, yeah.
Ozark, I was skeptical going into. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Ozark is good, but I think what you would have to do is it's like, okay, Netflix originals or HBO originals. So it's like Ozark or The Sopranos, Ozark or The Wire. Like to me, there's not even a question. Like I would pick HBO. Like I like Ozark. It's good. But again, your question is I have to choose between the two. Not even a contest.
I mean, HBO has a really good track record. Like I can go into something I don't even think I would like, and generally, if it's on HBO, I'll get some enjoyment out of it. It could just be some random thing. Like you can watch it all.
My favorite show is actually Eastbound and Down. nothing has made me like Shaun of the Dead. Zombieland is good. I hope Zombieland 2 is awesome. You know, all those horror type comedies. You know, Hot Fuzz, but like for shows that are funny, Eastbound and Down easily takes the cake for me. Danny McBride is hilarious in that movie. I mean, in that TV show, so funny. And the Vice Principals is good too. Jay, I know you're a fan of that one. And I didn't really know who Walton Goggins was before that. And then you're like, he's on The Shield. Check it out, you're noob. I'm like, all right, cool.
Walton Goggins is awesome on The Shield. He's awesome on Justified. Fucking, he was in what was that last Quentin Tarantino movie? The Hateful Eight. He was in that movie too. Like, Walton Goggins is a really good actor.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, let's dive into some topics here and talk about some stuff. John Carpenter was recently being celebrated at the Cannes Film Festival. He actually won an award. And during an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he stated that he has some TV stuff and a couple of feature ideas in the works. And he said that he wanted to, and he said that he wanted to make, quote unquote, a little horror movie. So, of course, that's made a lot of people excited that John Carpenter is going to get back in the game. My question to you guys and to everybody watching is, do you want a John Carpenter horror movie? Think Halloween, The Thing, The Fog, etc. Or would you prefer a John Carpenter action adventure type movie? Think Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, Assault on Precinct 13. What do you guys think? Which would you prefer? Let me start with you, Lauren. What do you think?
I would like whatever he's actually passionate about and not what he thinks the fans want, because we know that leads and it's nowhere good. It's kind of true of all those 70s and 80s horror superstar directors. When they lose their path and they're doing what we think they want, they produce trash.
So basically, you want him to make whatever he's going to put 110% into, and that he really, really wants to make, so he can make it like the most epic film.
Right. Well, not even. You know, epic isn't necessarily a good thing. I think that for a lot of these guys, we forget that they were making small, intimate, somewhat personal films that just had a lot of appeal to us and to a generation of mostly adolescent people. There's differences. You could argue that Cronenberg tended to be bigger in his scope than most, but someone like John Carpenter, you know, something on the scale of Halloween or The Thing with a limited cast, a clear danger, that's awesome. But as far as genre, I don't care. I just don't want him to phone anything in ever again after The Ward and after Ghosts of Mars. We've seen what those look like. Even the stuff that we tend to like, that's later. I don't want to see another In the Mouth of Madness or another Village of the Damned remake. I'd rather his high points not be outweighed by the low points. And right now he's still on that level. To me.
You put In the Mouth of Madness as one of his low points?
Yeah, I would.
Oh, okay.
Well, what do you think, Stingray? Well, hold on a minute. What don't you like about In the Mouth of Madness?
I think it's horrifically unfocused and the pacing is all over the place. I don't really like the characters. If you compare it with his earlier stuff, I just think there's a world of difference. I actually think it all starts to turn for him with Prince of Darkness, which is where there's too many ideas thrown into one movie and it all it doesn't really gel into one thing. And there's great moments. But there's also just moments where you're shaking your head going, where's this going to fit in? And it ultimately doesn't. But I don't want to monopolize the time. I very strongly want, if any of these guys come out of retirement, it to be something they care about and them to make the right movie for the right reason.
What do you think, Stingray?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Lauren said, you know, something that he's passionate about. You know, I mean, of course, I'd like to see horror, obviously, but if that's not what he's into, you know, I just want to see him do something. I mean, I feel like it's a waste. But, you know, it's obviously his prerogative. Hasn't been, like, concerned with doing much of that stuff past, like, a couple decades. So.
Well, he also mentioned in the interview, he was like, you know, he said there were some stipulations, you know, the budget had to be right. You know what I mean? he commented something about how, you know, Hollywood today wants you to make a $10 million movie for $2 million, and he doesn't want to be messing with that. You know what I mean? He doesn't want anything to do with that.
He wants to be in Dead Space 4 as a character, and he does a voiceover. Otherwise, he's not doing shit.
I mean, he's been more passionate about music than anything, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really what he's been focusing on
as of late. But I mean, you know, he may be turning a corner and want to get back into filmmaking. You know,
maybe Cody's had enough help, and we can move on to something else. You know.
Yeah.
All right, Cody, we got your career going. Let's move on to something else.
Bruce linked me for the first time, but Halloween Triumphant, that is a badass song. You want to talk about a gaming song, or like if you're working, just like a really good song to listen to? Oh man, how he composed that song. Amazing. So good.
I like that. That is a good one.
What do you think, Eric?
I mean, yeah, obviously I don't want him to phone in you know, whatever he's doing, like really do it. Don't just do what you think people want, or maybe someone throws a bunch of money at you, but it's to do something specific. I don't know. Like, I feel like I haven't seen the stuff he's done, like his recent stuff, which again, recent being relative, all kind of was on the horror side. I think I would like to see something more on the action adventure side. You know, like a Big Trouble in Little China, or a, you know, Escape from New York, or those. I mean, I don't know. I just also too, those kinds of action adventure movies, like no one really makes them anymore.
Yeah,
it would just be kind of cool to see something in that vein current. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Would anybody be interested in seeing? Well, I know they were making a Big Trouble in Little China remake with like The Rock at one point, but what about Big Trouble in Little China 2 with John Carpenter and Kurt Russell returning?
No, I don't want to see that.
Don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the chances it's going to be good?
Well, so
why not just do something new? Like get those two together for a new IP.
Or
I think that would be a big enough draw to earn some money.
He's in an actual wheelchair going backwards, his own wheelchair.
Or they could dust off the Shadow Company script and finally bring a Shadow Company.
But the thing is, like, when you look at those films like Big Trouble or whatever, when you look at them, what's so compelling about them is that they are so different. The idea of making more of it is actually exactly what we don't really want. We think we want it because we love the original so much, but I think it would cheapen the original the same way that Escape from LA has cheapened Escape from New York to a degree.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I know we can all agree on it. I want Ghosts of Mars 2. I want Desolation Williams back in action. Okay. Let's bring it. Ghosts of Mars 2. I'll take your universal silence as approval.
I love Ghosts of Mars, man. You know, it's great.
I think it's clear that 2 tickets would sell to that movie.
It's kind of like Jason X to me, and then it's one of those movies that every few years I think like I need to watch that again. I bet it's pretty good. Got him.
And then you remember, yeah.
That's funny. So yeah, let me see what's going on out in the chat. People talking about the Horror Master. Let's see. Biscayne Kid says horror. After all, he is a master of horror, not master of action. Well, I guess you haven't seen Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, Assault on Precinct 13, They Live.
He also asked, is there a studio that would give John Carpenter a big budget movie to direct these days? I mean, let's say he was open to direct whatever. I mean, I'm sure some studio would let him do it just for the name recognition alone. Right?
Of course, yeah, of course.
I would have to think that Halloween 2018's success could play in his favor. I mean, again, I know he didn't direct it, but I mean, he was involved in it. He could maybe parlay that into something.
Mm-hmm. It definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I don't know. I would like to just see another John Carpenter movie, and hopefully, like you guys said, it's something that his heart's into. He's not just doing it for the payday, and you know what I mean. Maybe we can. I don't know. Maybe it'll be good.
What did you guys think of The Ward?
I thought it was okay. It didn't ring to me as a John Carpenter movie though. It didn't look like a John Carpenter movie. It didn't feel like a John Carpenter movie. Just it just felt like a movie, and it was okay. Nothing great. Definitely not a movie I revisit very often, but yeah,
Kind of vanilla.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I wanted to like it more than I actually did, just because it was a John Carpenter film.
Oh man, I guess I never saw. I was thinking The Ward was something else, but holy cow! Look at this cast of females he's got here: Amber Heard, Danielle Panabaker, Lindsay Fonseca. Holy cow, John Carpenter!
that's why he directed the movie.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason why he directed the movie. He's like, all right, so we're gonna pay you a decent amount of money, and you'll have some really nice looking stars. And he's like,
Yeah.
all right.
This is before Johnny Depp beat the crap out of her too. So
John, no, I'm Mr. Carpenter. John, can you get me 2 venti espressos, please? And also in my trailer, which better be the biggest trailer of all time on set, can you please have a PS3 hooked up with all 50 games of my choosing on this list? Here you go. All right, shoot.
John Carpenter wouldn't be that way, not at all. He'd bring his own PS4 with his own games already preloaded. Man, come on.
Yeah,
Imagine just being like that, like established in anything in life, where you're like working with other people, and you're just like, it's kind of like I think of Donald Pleasance letting Jamie Lee Curtis or Daniel Harris use his trailer, just because he was such an established actor at that point, and he just treated her really well, before he passed.
well, if I remember correctly, he let her use it after he left.
Oh, okay.
The trailer was there, and after he was done filming his stuff, he was like, you can use it. It was still a nice gesture, but it's not like the old guy gave the girl.
He's like, I gotta go shoot Invisible Man too. Fuck this shit.
He wasn't
Have it. I fucking got 3 houses, dude.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was back in England or wherever the hell he was.
Well, anyway, when he got off set, that was a nice gesture,
Yeah.
She's like fucking 8 years old. She's like, all right, hey, thanks, Mr. Pleasance. But all right, well, I was wrong. Never mind.
Well, let's talk about this. This was like a really weird piece of news that just recently came out, and that's that Chris Rock is rebooting the Saw franchise. Do we? My knee-jerk reaction was, why Saw? I mean, I understand that it's a more recent IP. It's fresher in people's minds, but the Saw fatigue is probably also pretty fresh in people's minds too. You know what I mean? Because that series went from every Halloween to like every other Halloween to like let's pull a Friday the 13th and call this one the final chapter, which wasn't the final chapter. Then let's throw a prequel at them, and by that point, nobody was watching. So
well, they already did kind of a reboot reimagining with Jigsaw.
that was the prequel, wasn't it?
No.
Well, it made it seem like it was, and then it actually turned it. Spoiler alert!
don't do it. Don't tell them.
I'm sorry. It's Well, okay, man, I won't spoil people, but that movie, like all the other ones, played with time in a creative way. But my point is, that movie only came out like what, a year or two ago. It's not like that thing's been done that long. I mean, Jigsaw came out at 2017 at the furthest back. I mean, that might have been early 2018 or something. I don't know.
I think you're right.
I don't know. I mean, is it just the case that like Chris Rock just had, like, maybe he really liked those movies and he had an idea and he just walked in and he's like, hey guys, what do you think? And they're like, well, I don't know. I guess comedians make horror movies now. Sure, why not? We can make some money with this.
Yeah, I guess they were like, well, wait a minute. Jordan Peele has been very successful in the horror community. Let's find another African American comedian and let's offer them something to do with horror. And Chris Rock was like, the only horror movie I ever seen was Saw. And he was like, there's your series.
Well, a couple things though. I mean, so first off, Chris Rock wrote all of his material for all those stand-ups for that many years. The guy can write.
Yeah.
So we should not discount that. And horror and comedy are actually the two most similar genres to write. They're both about setting up for punchlines. So I don't think it's that crazy to say that he could write a damn good film. But my understanding is he's not writing it, by the way. He's executive producing, and he basically wrote a treatment.
Yeah.
But writers are being hired to do the actual work. But that doesn't bother me any more than hearing that basketball stars want to produce Friday 13th. I mean, it's no more outrageous except one of the guys I know can write. I mean,
Have you ever read any of LeBron James fiction? Because I can assure you, it's
man.
breathtaking. It's breathtaking.
I haven't. I know that's shocking to you. I guess I'm done. It's just not as well read as I thought. But the other thing is, the Saw series have always made money for Lionsgate. It's not like it's a series that has ever lost money, and it probably never will.
Well, I mean, that's because they make those movies for like $2.50.
Well,
$2.50.
Yeah, but that's the same model that
That's a big budget.
Everything that comes out of the Conjuring universe, they're all made cheap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's the smart way to make horror movies.
Saw, it seemed like with Saw, they did like the old Roger Corman trick, where like every movie used the exact same set. Every movie had the exact same cast, just different names. Every movie was like in that pea yellow filter, Instagram filter. And people just flocked to them every Halloween. It was like, I don't know. I liked the first one, and I think there was. They all run together for me after the first one because they all look.
Me too.
And
I
feel
like the
exactly
first
the
one.
same.
Well,
Sorry, good.
Oh no, sorry. I was going to say is that like one thing that impressed me about Saw is I rather liked the second Saw movie because they could have just sort of churned out exactly the same thing, and I liked that the second movie did it a little bit differently. And I don't recall if that was something where they like adapted a different screenplay and just made. Is that what it was, Lauren? But whatever the case, I thought it worked really well, and I liked sort of pitting Marky Mark's brother against Jigsaw kind of like across the table the whole movie. I agree with you that I think after Saw 2, you sort of started getting diminishing returns. Because and Saw 3, I think, was the one that really turned me off because I especially once I realized this was becoming like a torture porn genre. I think there was a dude in like Saw 3 where like the trap he was in was like turning his limbs around, and I was like, okay, I don't think I'm made for these movies. That was a little rough for me.
I want to see a Saw trap where you have to watch Saw 8 or 9 or whatever the new one is. It's like you have to sit there. They give you a jumbo bucket of popcorn and a soda, and it's like, we're gonna play a game, and like Chris Rock's like doing a cameo. He's like, no, I don't want to. It's like this motion picture.
Did Chris Rock like write that show like Everybody Hates Chris or whatever it was called? I didn't really watch a lot of it.
He did great episodes of it.
Okay, so he does have experience writing. So
yeah,
he also wrote "I Think I Love My Wife," which begs the question: why isn't he just writing "I Think I Love My Wife" again? Do a sequel to that movie.
He actually even wrote skits in Toto for In Living Color back in the day. I mean, the guy.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
The guy can write.
And remember, when you're on SNL, which admittedly he wasn't on for very long, when you're on SNL, all the performers do write as well. Not all of them are as good as there are some really classic writer performers, but you have to pitch your own material, you have to show up. It's not if anything, it's just more of a joke. Like I wasn't criticizing Chris Rock's writing or anything, but it is funny to me. Jordan Peele is now like kind of the new horror master. Danny McBride churned out a Halloween movie. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know. It seems interesting.
I mean, you guys think this is just like trying to sell, like ad revenue here? Like this is never actually going to happen. It's just something that they had one meeting about, and it's never going to happen.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Lionsgate would like to turn that back into a cash cow for sure. And I mean, Chris Rock's name being attached to it is going to bring a lot of attention to it. And, he's a great comedian. He writes all his own material. And so, I mean,
I think that
I don't know.
I think it's just a little bit dangerous because the whole thing is the audience for it won't get smaller than the last 2 films got out. If he brings anyone more to it, it's just more successful. It's simple math to actually make this thing happen. There's just not that much on the line. But now the real question though is, can you take a series like Saw? because my understanding is this is not a this is not a remake. This is a side story, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a spinoff.
They called it a spinoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what the question is, if it's too different, do you alienate the fans that have stuck together? Because it is one consistent story that didn't recast any actors for 9 movies. I mean,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, so if you go and just start completely too fresh, you lose that base.
I
Potentially.
mean, to be clear though, Jigsaw was the one guy that never got recast. And there were some actors who moved through different parts of the series, but like, oh crap, what's her name from
Shawnee
Starship
Smith.
Troopers? Well, yeah, so Shawnee Smith was in like the first 3 of them. The chick from Starship Trooper, Dina Meyer, Dina Meyer is awesome. Also in like the first 3. And then there was like other people that sort of picked up the torch from them, and then they died. But I just mean like in the movie Jigsaw, like the only guy I think we recognize is Jigsaw. In the flashbacks, it's not like they've got Danny Glover isn't still hanging around. I mean, it's really just Tobin Bell who's kept the thing alive.
He was too old for that shit. Sorry, I've been waiting like 20 minutes to say that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they'll do something to kind of bridge the two, at least maybe briefly, so that you can so there's there's something that connects them. I don't know.
Have any of you guys actually seen Jigsaw?
Yes.
I've not.
I didn't hate it.
It's a well-written film with a great twist that takes. I mean, spoilers because no one cares because everyone hates the Saw films except me and Jay apparently.
I don't mind them. I mean,
the really clever thing it does is takes all the twists from all the previous films and uses them in the film. I mean,
that's what the twist is like you don't know it's a prequel at first, right? Isn't that what it was?
It's that.
I thought it's a sequel. Is really or is the sequel just a framing story?
No, it's a sequel. It's a sequel, but there's scenes that take place in the past that inform the present.
Yeah.
But if you look at all of the twists from all the series, they're all represented in the new movie.
Yeah. I mean, I Saw 4 kind of played that trick to some extent, though. Again, I don't want to take away from the movie, but I'm just saying, like Saw, and I actually rather liked Saw 4 after not really liking Saw 3. Saw 4, also too, if you really wanted to get a close-up shot of Tobin Bell's penis, you could watch that movie for that. I mean, I don't know. They all sort of play this like game with time and what they show you versus what they don't. And I'm usually never clever enough to figure it out anyway. So I mean, clearly it works. But
let me ask you guys this because I've seen them all up to like the 5th one, and I have no desire to like watch them ever again. To me, I don't know how you guys can tell 3 from 2 from 4 from 5.
Saw 9 makes Saw 4 look like Saw 3. We all know that.
Was there something enjoyable about those movies other than just watching people get tortured in ironic ways?
Because the thing is, after the 3rd film, the traps are not the story you're following. They're all there as a framing device to tell you how far into the movie you are, but there's really this power struggle between these basically psychotic people who are trying to take over the mantle of Jigsaw and the cops who are trying to stop him, who some of them are involved in the plot too. It's really a big soap opera.
I mean, the thing is I would flip that though, is because I agree with you that is what happens, but I don't agree that isn't after I think it was after Saw 4, because I think Saw 5 was when I got off the train, because Saw 5 was the first one that felt to me like nothing in the story really advanced in that movie, or at least nothing of consequence happened. It kind of felt like it was an episode of Saw, the TV series. Like, what's going to happen next week on Saw after that one? But it really became like, what crazy fucked up ways can we kill people in this one? And there were little like teaspoons of stories sort of oodled out in between those sequences.
I don't agree with that at all. Because I mean, I could tell you that the 4th film is the beginning of the Strom versus the Strom storyline that continues for the next couple movies. But there's, to me, I mean, the murder sequences are there because they were expected, but I almost think that if you could cut them out of the film, the traps anyway, and you get this compelling, almost Godfather-like.
It would be 15 minutes long, though. Is my point.
No, you're remembering movies really wrong. You really are.
Okay.
The traps are not. They're probably 12 minutes of every film.
All right, Sausage Factory nerds. Someone get out there with a stopwatch. Let's test
Both of you
it.
guys are wrong. Okay.
But
Hang on. Okay, so the Poltergeist, the first one, people are, that's like the Curse movie. It's got a lot of weird shit. Some people won't even watch it. That's the same thing with Saw Part 7, because Chester Bennington dies in that one. How did they know he was going to kill himself? It's cursed.
All right, let's move on. We'll pretend we didn't.
Is that
hear
the sign that a topic is dead when Orc starts tap dancing on it?
Crawling in my cameo.
Well, and let's segue into from one James Wan produced series into
James
an
Wan number
upcoming
one.
James Wan produced movie. James Wan actually announced that his Mortal Kombat movie that he's producing is going to begin pre-production in South Australia this month, and they're going to start shooting later this year.
Fuck yeah.
Anybody aside from me and Orc excited for a Mortal Kombat movie? A new
If it doesn't have that awesome Mortal Kombat theme song, GTFO. That's what I say.
you know it will. You know it will, of course. You know it will.
It's gonna be remixed by like what's the dubstep guy? Like DJ Douchebag or something.
Skrillex or something.
By the way, and I'm sorry, this is just a brief interlude, Piz, I promise. But
Okay.
What Jay just said reminded me. This is definitely not the audience for it necessarily, but I just happened on YouTube. I saw the kind of the official A Whole New World version for the new live action Aladdin movie, which is sung by Zayn. I don't know, and some chick with dreads. I don't remember her name. It's like I had to turn it off. It's so bad. And again, this doesn't necessarily seem like a musical crowd for that kind of thing here, but
I'm really into music. So is Jay. I'm gonna give you
just again, if you want to sort of like have your eardrums scraped, go check that out for maybe the minute you'd be able to tolerate it. I just couldn't believe how bad it was. I guess is it. So anyway, I'm sorry. Brief interlude, but
I can't pronounce
the other thing that
names.
sort of annoyed me is like in the music video, like Zayn is like he hardly opens his mouth, and the way he's singing, it sounds like it. It's like I can show you the world, shine, shimmer. Like I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Anyway, it bothers me because Aladdin was bar none my favorite like Disney movie as a kid. While everybody was freaking out like, "Oh, the Lion King was so amazing," I was like,
I was 101 Dalmatians, the original. I fucking love that movie. So good, man. So good. You got the fat one. He can't get up into the truck, dude. That's like me. I was like, that's me. That's me right there, dude.
Anyway.
His ass won't fit through anything, through all the cracks and like through. Yeah, dude. And
So,
like
I'm sorry. Just again, a brief interlude, but I just remembered that I had the misfortune of seeing that yesterday. And
I don't.
That's Zayn.
Apparently, that's a name you can have, Jay. Zayn.
And then Zava, Zhavia, Zava Ward is the other.
I have never heard of that person, and the singing, I guess, is what you'd call it, that she does is atrocious. And it's so heavily remixed and like auto-tuned, like it's sort of hard to tell what anybody's doing.
Oh, well,
It's
that's
terrible.
awesome.
I'm on a boat, motherfucker. Anyway,
Yeah.
Piz and I have been playing a lot of ranked and competitive Mortal Kombat. I hope the new one is really good. I don't know when the release date is supposed to be or what year it's coming out. But pro tip, I don't know how many people are watching or if you are into games at all. Whatever is on your queue of games to buy, push it way to the side and put Mortal Kombat 11 right at the top. If you like 10 at all, Mortal Kombat 11 is that and so much more. Everything in the game. Everything.
I would have to add this though. And I know that all the developers of the Mortal Kombat series watch our show religiously. So let me just say to you guys,
Shut up, you Baraka spammer.
fix Garrus, fix Sonya, fix Aaron Black. They're insanely broken, and they are
Noob
ridiculous.
Saibot's the worst. Oh my god, you get a sweaty nerd playing Noob Saibot. Oh my god, it's all over.
I don't have much problems with Noob Saibot players. It's the oh my god, what's that chick's name? Citrion. People who play Citrion just spam. She's the full auto Jackie of Mortal Kombat 11. Just spam. I actually had a good spammer today that I beat, and after I beat him, I said, "Dude, I don't normally teabag people in this game, but taste these nuts. Just taste them, taste them."
Fighting games are the best because you can feel the rage coming through the mic. You can feel the anger. They're like, "Fuck you, man! You suck, and I'm gonna fucking just say every horrible thing you could ever say to anyone, like, and they're gonna kill you and stuff." I'm like, "Hey, man, good game. That was fun." Rematch, and then they just leave.
Do you guys remember there used to be like a Rocky game for like Xbox 360? You could basically like play through the Rocky series. Do you have any memory of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really glitchy, right?
It could be, yes. And I remember I had a friend, and he and I had like the boxing match of all ages. I mean, like we were sweating, we were like hunched over, like, and I always remember it because neither one of us won. Like at the end of the thing, like we hit each other at the same time, and then the round just ended, and we fought, and it was a draw. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing that again. Like I'm exhausted. Like this isn't fun.
You're like, hey, dude, you want to reenact Rocky 2?
Yeah, that's what it was.
You like both punch each other at the same time and knock
That's
each other out.
That is exactly how it ended.
I think the number one game for like gathering around with a group of friends, easily for me, of all time was GoldenEye. Easily. No contest. That was the jam back in the day.
Mm-hmm. That was a good one. Anybody else interested in the Mortal Kombat movie aside from me and Orc, or a new Mortal Kombat movie produced by James Wan?
I mean, you guys are actually excited for it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think. Well, James Wan is producing; he's not directing. But I mean, it's got to be better than the last one, right? And I mean,
Mortal made a few of them. Like, because there's been like sequels, right? Like direct to video or digital sequels or something.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't
know.
There
were like 2 or 3 series IGN put out, and then there was the first Mortal Kombat, best video game movie of all time. I don't care what anyone says. Fuck Doom. And then Mortal Kombat Annihilation came out, which is the second one, which hit theaters, and it's bad. But I'm such a big fan. It's so bad, it's good. It's like
it's
Friday
really
13th
bad.
Part 9. It's so bad. It's hilarious.
Wasn't Highlander in the original Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Wasn't he Raiden?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And the guy who played Liu Kang, he's like an actual martial artist. In part 2, like you could tell he kind of let himself go because he like wore like a big T-shirt the entire movie.
And he was also in Beverly Hills Ninja. But I was talking to Cole, and he said he had like a lot of skill. He had a lot of skill, but he never got his big break because he was in Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, a few other movies, and then the last thing he did was Beverly Hills Ninja before Farley passed away. He was like kind of the guy helping him out and, like beating everybody up while Farley was just being a dumbass. But what was I going to say, though? Shit, I forgot. I can't remember.
Well, I mean, I'm excited for a new Mortal Kombat movie. I think it'd be cool if they do it right. I think it could be really cool, and I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, they've given those characters so much of a backstory. They definitely could easily put that together into a film, but will they do it well? Is the question.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. The chick who's the teacher who Adam Sandler hits on, she's the same one who plays Sonya.
Yeah, she was Sonya in the first one. Yeah,
and she's in a few other movies in the '90s. But once 2000 hit, she wasn't in like anything. The really hot blonde.
Cynthia Rothrock.
Oh no, what's her name? Bridget Wilson. She got married to isn't she married to like Andre Agassi or something? She's married to some famous. No, Pete Sampras. She's married to Pete Sampras.
Oh.
So she ain't got to work no more.
Yeah.
So.
Sampras still has his money. Pro tip, real talk.
Real talk.
Pete Sampras still has all of his money because Andre Agassi pulled a Keith Urban and put it all up his nose. Real talk. Unless you're
Really?
Stephen King and you write 100 books, you cannot do cocaine all the time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no. Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras, when like we actually had good players from the U.S., before the year 2000, Conan O'Brien status. Yeah, he went on like a massive coke binge. Like it's similar to like Johnny Depp's wine addiction, where he drops like 5K a day. But yeah, hardcore addicted to coke.
Well,
Nothing wrong
The
with
more
that.
you know. Doo-doo-doo.
it was also recently announced that a new Purge movie will be coming out in the summer of 2020. Does anybody want to put bets on it'll be politically based? No? Okay. I didn't think so.
The Purge 5, Unfriended 7. What?
Hollywood so desperately wants to like convince us we're in this dystopian future. Meanwhile, everybody's just sipping champagne at the restaurant. Things are no different than they were. It's like The Handmaid's Tale. It's like this is the world we live in now.
Yeah.
Okay, I
I
guess.
think they're only going to release Purge movies now on election years. That's the only time they'll release Purge movies now. I don't know what you guys think about the Purge movies. I've actually liked pretty much all the Purge movies except the first one.
I think we should do a real purge. I think we need a purge.
For the Purge, I remember I saw the first one the opening day it came out, and I love the franchise as well. Like Jay was saying, just for if you think about it just as a concept and the plot itself, I mean, it gets a little crazy in all the other movies, but the first one, and it's pretty much the same premise, but 24 hours, anything goes. Like, whoever came up with that, it's so simple, yet so amazing. It's like, well, good luck, 24 hours. If you can make it 24 hours and 5 seconds, you're alive. You can just go to Subway and get.
Yeah. I think like the sequel and whatever the last one that came out is better than the first one.
Yeah, the first Purge, I don't know what they were thinking there, but the second one, the third one, how many have they
The
done
last
so
one was
far?
election year, I think. Or no, wait.
The last one was
It was the prequel one, right?
There's 4 films.
yeah.
In a television.
4 films total. Okay.
One of
I've
them's
wa-
called the first Purge. Like it's supposed that that's the prequel.
That was the last one they did.
That one's cool.
Yeah, I've liked them all except the first one. So I mean,
So damn Ethan Hawke, man.
Is there
Yeah.
is there any other series where that's true? Where the first one is the one you don't like? That's interesting.
Jaws. Fuck that movie. It's not hard, bro.
Billion.
It's not scary. I watched Saw 5. Fuck it.
oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Jeez.
When you make a sad argument for Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I was like, that was kind of what I was thinking. But the thing is it's not like people don't like Friday the 13th. It's just that the first one is really kind of a different thing from what all the other ones become. So
You
people
said,
like it, but it's just not. It's not the same as the others.
did you say the whole franchise, all the films are better than the first one, or just any film is better than the first one in general?
No,
I just mean a situation where, like what Piz is saying, like he likes all of the Purge sequels, but he does not like the original. I can't think of another franchise where people would say something like that.
Sure.
I can't either, really.
I know it's out there, though.
There's got to be
Help
something.
us out, guys.
What about? Well, there's only 2 of them. But Sorority House Massacre 2 was much better than Sorority House Massacre.
So which comedian is going to restart the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think it'll be Kevin Hart.
It's going to be a
I would
Spanish
watch
guy.
that.
We got 2 black guys already. All right, Monty would approve of this. We need a Spanish guy or a Middle Eastern guy or an Asian guy.
All right, so
Why not? But we already
Horatio
have James
Sands
Bond.
is going to do I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Ooh, that
Yep.
would be interesting.
Louis C.K. does I Spit on Your Grave.
I hope
I jizz on your grave.
I hope Bobby Lee does the new Nightmare on Elm Street series.
That dude's hilarious.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to kill it.
No. I mean, that is an interesting. Yeah.
Trying to think.
Our buddy Andrew, Mr. McNugget, says in the chat, "What about Robert Pattinson as Batman? Is that really happening, or was that just a rumor that I heard
Oh, I hope it's a
a
rumor.
ways back? Is that like seriously happening?"
I heard that rumor, but can we have like an American Batman? Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be like a nationalist or something. Here. But I'm tired of all the damn superheroes being like from Britain or Australia or something. Come on, man.
I actually like Robert Pattinson quite a bit, but I don't want to see that.
Did you see his movie? There was a movie he did. Oh gosh, what was it called? Good Times or something like that?
Yes, very good movie.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
It's one of the A24 films that we were talking about.
It's happening. It just recently got announced. Robert Pattinson is the new Batman.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Yep.
And just completely different from the previous films.
Here's Variety. Variety says Robert Pattinson to play the Batman for Matt Reeves and Warner Brothers. Blah 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 blah. Reeves, the filmmaker behind the last two Planet of the Apes sequels, assumed Batman directing duties from Ben Affleck. Blah blah blah.
Bruce, do you need me to send a pizza to your house? You look very.
Yeah, I think you do.
I mean, I'll hold my judgment on that.
I was even okay with Ben Affleck. I saw something in him. I thought he could play like this. I just don't. Maybe I need to move past Twilight, and I need to look at some of his other stuff. But this just.
He's a talented dude, man. He really is.
And nothing is set in stone yet, though. There's still, let's see what's it say here. Warner Brothers is giving Reeves plenty of time to develop the script.
Yeah.
No official start date or anything. Actually, Pattinson's about to shoot a movie with Christopher Nolan. So
I'll save my judgment till I see the film, because I mean, I didn't want Christian Bale, like I haven't liked any of the castings for Batman, so and I like Christian Bale, in the long run. So
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
and Matt Reeves is correct. If Matt Reeves thinks he's the guy, because was it? I forget which Planet of the Apes movie or whatever it was he did.
I think it was the first one.
Or it was the one that everybody liked, or the one that everybody just thought was so great. So I'm willing to. I'll give him enough rope to hang himself. So
Well, I mean, if it's a well-made movie, if the script is good, you know what I mean.
Should have went with Matt Damon every time.
Matt Damon is Batman would have been
Fat
a good
man. Fat Damon is
Pattinson's kind of old.
Matt Damon, then he fails. Then it's Kevin Smith, because he's actually skinny now.
I mean, Pattinson is 32, and I remember when they were talking about like what they were trying to cast for. I thought they were looking for someone in kind of their mid to late 20s.
So
I think because they want to get this guy like locked into a big contract. And again, 32 is not old, but
Wow, I didn't know he was that old. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Just recently announced Robert Pattinson is Batman. Lauren, your thoughts?
I don't think I give a shit.
Okay.
Lauren, who is your favorite superhero?
You are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I
know.
was also suggesting that perhaps if we do a real purge, we can start in Maine. But,
well, hey, I mean, I think we should start in Jersey, because there's a lot of trash there anyway.
Dude, have you not been paying attention? We started a purge in Jersey years ago.
That was going to be my joke.
When Chris was shutting down bridges, man. What a savage! Shutting down bridges and eating
Patterson or Irvington on a Friday night. You're good. No, I mean, you know what? Batman is just one of those characters that it's existed for a lot longer than any of us have been around, and it's existed in so many forms and so many different media. I can't get myself excited about the idea of more Batman, period, let alone who's playing him. Unless they choose something that was really just bizarre, like a actor with an obvious handicap or something, whereas they were just really pushing it in the direction that the character had never been. I don't care. Will it work?
Well, Matt Reeves what I've heard in terms of the development of the story and the script, it does sound like he's trying to do something not necessarily different for the character, but at least different in terms of what the movies have portrayed. The movies are always big, bombastic explosions, everything. I think Matt Reeves is trying to do more of like a Batman detective story, which is something I've been advocating for years. It would be good to see that side of his character as opposed to, you know, the one who's like always like diving out of explosions and stuff. It'd be kind of cool to see him, you know, hunting a killer or, you know, playing with that, you know, the seedy underbelly of the mob and that kind of stuff.
That's fine. I mean, my thing is, I don't think I'll ever be buying a ticket for another Warner Brothers superhero film. I mean,
You're not wrong.
I've wasted that money enough that if everyone comes together and says, no, this is the one, this changes everything. Okay, I guess I'll stream it somewhere down the line.
Lauren, is that for you? Is that like buying, like, you know, people who buy lotto tickets like every day? Is that like a Warner Brothers like ticket?
No, I'm not going to criticize what other people like. That's cool. If someone out there is getting enjoyment out of this stuff, that's awesome. I just know that, like, when I watched Aquaman, I was just out of my head, angry at the screen the whole time, and yet you talk to people and they loved it. That's great for them, but clearly it's not for me. So, I mean, the Marvel stuff may be as vanilla as you get, but at least it was compelling. The DC stuff just is falling on its face repeatedly, and not even in a fun way. Like, I kind of like watching Waterworld sometimes, you know? It's kind of fun to watch disaster. That's not what's going on with the DC stuff. Justice League was hard to watch, period.
Well, I wonder if
It's true.
I wonder if they'll try to change the tone, because I mean they kind of went down this dark path of, like, you know, we're for the adult comic book fans. You know, I mean, Marvel is, you know, for the kids. You know, we're the adult. We're dark, and you know those movies didn't work. Could they try to? I mean,
But that's not the problem, though. The problem isn't the tone they picked. The problem is they didn't write a good film, and then clearly they relied on, you know, CGI and like the mannerisms of modern filmmaking, which is just like everything is a 2-second cut in an action scene. You have no sense of geography in any scene. There's zero suspense, which is a really curious thing for films that all have like these huge stakes at the end, but there's never any suspense or any real threat to any characters. It's just they're not writing good films.
There's something more fundamental. I mean, the tone does have something to do with it, because what Zack Snyder was doing to start, he was starting his series of films as deconstruction pieces. He wanted to deconstruct Superman. He wanted to deconstruct Batman. The problem is he never constructed them. And yes, those characters have been around for a long time, but it's like if you're making a movie where, you know, Superman's like breaking people's necks and, you know, doing things that are kind of out of character for him, or, you know, Batman's just indiscriminately killing people with machine guns, you sort of need to, you either need to build to that or at least show some reverence for the history of the character. And, you know, he was taking all of his inspiration from like The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns was a deconstructionist piece after like 50 years of pre-existing Batman canon. Just fundamentally, he was approaching it from the wrong perspective, I think.
Well, basically, my whole thing is I don't particularly have a great connection with it, with the source material to begin with. So I'm not the guy necessarily to ask. I just wanted a good film when I walked in. And I didn't get it with I didn't love Man of Steel. I think there's moments in that film that are good. I think the overall film is too long and unfocused and kind of draggy. I didn't get it with Batman versus Superman. I didn't get it with Justice League. Kind of got it with Wonder Woman, besides that atrocious third act with all the CGI nonsense going on. Aquaman was a disaster for me. Suicide Squad is almost not a movie. So it reaches a point where I just say, you guys are doing something wrong, and it has to begin when someone pulled up an empty Word document and wrote interior house noon. Because what these films are missing is anything compelling. I think you could make them dark. That would be fine. That's a good take on it. You could make a deconstructionist take on these characters. I think we know the characters well enough. I mean, in a way, the Super Friends series was deconstructionist just from a kid's point of view. But the problem is you got to write something well. And it hasn't happened. They're running boardrooms. They're trying to hit a demographic at a comparison to Marvel, and it's just a miserable nightmare. They need to hire creative people, let them alone, not give them a crunch, because that doesn't work either. But you have to actually try and do something and then stick with it. I don't know about you, but when I watched Justice League and all the jokes came up, I cringed harder than if it had been Zack Snyder's humorless approach.
That's how it was for me in Avengers 4. It wasn't in
Right.
1, 2, and 3. 4. I was like, I can't do it. I just like when something's worse than my shitty jokes, there's a big problem. There's a huge problem.
And again, we don't need to re-legislate Avengers 4, but I guess I'm just, you can't argue taste, but there was no joke in Avengers 4 that I felt fell so flat on me that I'm like railing against it, kind of like you are. I mean, to be honest, I felt like the groundwork for the way that like Thor was sort of cartoony during parts of Avengers 4 in Thor Ragnarok, the stuff that Taika, again, I always butcher his name whenever I mention it, but what they did in Thor Ragnarok, they sort of like opened up a different side of his character and changed him a little bit. That's why I felt that worked in the context of that movie. We've already seen him be kind of goofy, and that was their way of sort of playing to the story of like where this character is now. Like he's lost everyone and he's failed the universe.
I'm sensing a little way too much hostility coming towards my way through my laptop here. I don't want to get banned from Google Plus. I just want to say I love you, man. Like no homo. I can't say that either. Wait, hang on. I love you, man, but not like an addictive kind. No, can't say that. I love you, man, but like not like let's get married in Sanford. Shit.
I muted him.
Okay.
The funny thing is you'll unmute him in like 40 minutes and he'll still be talking about it. How he loves Eric.
So Eric, I really love you, but I mean, shut up. You suck at modding anyway. I'll be right back.
All you got to say is I love you, man, and just let it go. Goodness, let's see.
I love you, Piz.
Why don't you segue into the Batwoman atrocity?
Oh, that's where I was going.
Lauren pulling the reins in here.
I was actually going to bring it up so that I could read off some of the comments in the comment section of that trailer. But anyway, have you guys seen the trailer for the upcoming Batwoman CW television series? And if so, please let us know your thoughts.
I will go watch now.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I'm about to try for the first time a Dr. Pepper Dark Berry Limited Edition soda. I've been told this is the worst thing that Dr. Pepper has ever put on the market. And I believe it. It's also not diet, and I haven't had a regularly sweetened soda in probably 3 years. This is probably going to kill me. This is exactly how I feel about the Catwoman series. I know this thing's going to be atrocious. I know it's going to be horrible. The trailer did nothing to sell it. The public opinion's doing nothing that's going to be anything positive for it. And yet I might watch an episode of that just to see how bad it can possibly get.
So how is it?
You remember Dots candy?
Yeah.
Imagine really old Dots candy. It's pretty awful.
That sounds good to me. So yes, the Batwoman trailer, the first look trailer for the upcoming CW series just dropped today, as a matter of fact, and it has set the internet on fire. It currently sits at 16,000 likes and 16,000 dislikes.
So she's a lesbian.
Yes.
Well, at least that is taken, like that's in the comics. It's not like they're just doing that for TV. That is the character.
And everybody in the comment section is pointing out how she says in the trailer, "I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work." Then she steals Batman's suit, his gadgets, and his name. So
I'm equal parts turned on and triggered. So I don't know how that works.
The character appeared in the big Arrowverse crossover late last year. The Crisis on Infinite Earths, or maybe I have that wrong, but whatever was the big crossover between Supergirl, Arrow, The Flash, they actually premiered the character of Batwoman. And that was sort of where the idea for like doing a pilot about her character originated from. I actually thought she was okay. They were wise in that they didn't use her a ton, and when she was on it, she was sufficiently badass enough, I thought, at least for what the character's supposed to be. But again, and some of this we talked about offline, but the Arrowverse has fallen off a cliff with me. Like those shows don't really seem to be about like super heroics anymore, and seem to be about pushing some kind of agenda now, as opposed to telling fun, compelling stories.
Agenda,
like
you say?
Legends of Tomorrow. That's why that's actually one I can still watch and enjoy for the most part, is because it's just like a crazy cast of people doing really like weird, trippy stuff. Like I'm pretty sure the villain in the last season of that show was like a Furby, and I'm not even joking. Like I think some evil entity like possessed like some Furby toy, and that was like their big villain or something. Like, so they're just doing crazy stuff, and that's interesting. But seeing who can out SJW someone on the Flash or Arrow,
Ruby Rose. That's why I recognize that lady.
I like Ruby Rose a lot. That's what's part of why I think this is going to be even worse, is because I'm sure she's going to give her all, and no one around her is going to, because they're all going to see through it.
The trailer's 3 minutes and 5 seconds of just pure agenda. It's like every sequence is, it's cringe. And I cannot wait until the show hits the skids and it's blamed on the trolls and the evil white men for that show's failure, because it's going to happen.
I really could care less what her sexual orientation is. I don't really think it needs to come into play at all.
Well, yeah, it's as if they just threw all the rules of good writing out the window and said, let's just virtue signal and agenda, SJW, and people will for some reason like it. And
why not just make a good show?
Yeah, just make a good show. And if the character is a lesbian, make her a lesbian. But we don't need to be reminded every 5 minutes that she is a lesbian. We don't need to be reminded every 5 minutes that she is a woman. We don't need to be reminded every 5 minutes that, she's doing a man's job, but doing it better than a man. I mean, we don't just make a good show. You know what I mean? We don't need these these gender politics in everything now. You know what I mean?
It's classic. It's classic screenwriting. It's just classic filmmaking. Show, don't tell.
Yeah.
If that woman's a badass, make her a badass. And heck, if she's a lesbian, show us that too. But like, don't have us, just constantly the characters tell us she's a badass. Like you say, like the virtue signaling, the commentary. To me, the best thing they could do is just like start that show with a really kick-ass fight scene where like the character earns that badass title. That's how you do it. Mm-hmm. And it can be done. Like this isn't. What was that movie that Charlize Theron was just in?
Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde. That's a good example. Like Charlize Theron, I thought was a pretty good badass in that.
Sure.
She was a badass in the Mad Max movies.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah. I mean, hell, Gal Gadot was a badass as Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Like, and again, these were characters that were just badasses. They didn't need to just walk around telling everybody they were a badass.
But this is not a new concept. Like,
yeah,
there's been plenty of shows that I've watched that it just like you said, they show don't tell. It doesn't need to be, oh, she's a badass. Keep saying it that she's better than a man or whatever. Yeah. Like Dark Angel or Alias or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I watched all that stuff.
There's a deep track, Dark Angel. I haven't heard anyone mention that show.
I love Dark Angel, man. I mean, it really fell off at the end, but I did like that show quite a bit.
James Cameron.
Yeah, that's why I didn't watch it. But anyway, but it's the funny thing is how male characters who are badass are usually set up is through some sort of loss or trauma or losing to begin with. If you think about in a Rambo movie, Rambo has to sustain a very serious injury at some point to overcome, right? And it's usually because he isn't. There's a limit to how badass anyone can be. And that's what makes the ending of these series so good. I mean, if you look at the Netflix Punisher show, which I think was the first season, that's probably the best thing that came out of that wave. That character to the door of death, and that's the point. He overcomes that. My fear is, and maybe the show will prove me wrong, but I don't see the Batwoman character ever getting a scratch on her, or if it is, it's going to be a very dramatic scratch. It's kind of what they've done, and I say they because different creators, but it's kind of where the zeitgeist is at with female action, is that they're just so tough they can't be hurt. They never make the wrong move. And
it's true.
That's not how male characters in the same position are written. And it's more effective to have characters who do have flaws and who can be beat, because then there's stakes.
Well, but see, if she has flaws, the problem is the same people who are the same SJW culture that's uplifting the show will immediately go, well, you're anti-feminist because you let her get punched by a man, or you let her get a scratch on her from a male bad guy. You know what I mean? They'll turn on it.
Oh my God!
So quickly.
Let them be angry. Isn't it okay to not pander to every single quadrant of the audience?
That'll be their only audience. That'll be their only audience.
Well, there's a whole other side to this though too, because even if you set, and it's hard to do, but even if you set the SJW stuff aside, if you set some of the virtue signaling aside, this is a show that will take place in Gotham City. This is a Batwoman character. They mention Batman, but historically the WB has not allowed the TV shows to really play in the Batman universe and use any of the good, cool stuff about Batman. So I almost wonder if this show, in addition to all these other bad things that we're sort of citing as problematic, if it's going to come out with one hand tied behind its back, because they'll never be able to use the Joker, they'll never be able to use Harley Quinn. They basically just take any Batman villain that's prominent enough that you know them. Like maybe you should be able to use wasn't that like a joke in like Lego Batman? Was it like Condiment Man? She'll probably be able to use Condiment Man, but like they won't be able to use or and here's the thing that'll really get annoying. Like maybe it won't be like the Riddler. It'll be like the Riddler's daughter, or the Riddler's mom, or something. Like they're gonna, and that's the other thing. They're gonna turn like every villain as some like female amalgam of like the male counterpart of the villain. And by the way, I hope I'm wrong about this, because I used to watch all these shows religiously. Like my wife and I used to settle in. Like Monday, it was like Arrow, it was The Flash, it was Legends of Tomorrow. Pop over to CBS back then, like I watched Supergirl. But they're kind of reached a point where they weren't. They're more CW shows than they are like superhero shows or like even WB shows. They have a different purpose, it seems to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring you down, Piz.
Yeah, I know that's just soul crushing.
Wouldn't it be amazing now if after promoting the show this way, you sat down to watch the episode and you came out with something that was great, that was just represented really poorly in its advertising? I'm not saying that's
I would love that. I would love it.
But I think that the opportunity for that to happen is being robbed by the advertising, because honestly, besides morbid curiosity, I don't have curiosity about it at all anymore. That's sad, because a lot of people work very hard to put something on screen that did not have an agenda, and then there's a few that probably did.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on and let's talk about Game of Thrones.
We cannot move on before we talk about Dungeons and Dragons and stupid shit like that.
I muted him. So Game of Thrones. Let's talk.
Anyways, can I get a real talk, Jay?
Let's talk about the fan petition that's going around.
Eric, are you familiar? Very serious, Piz. Please.
Are you familiar with the fan petition? Okay.
I am familiar with the fan petition. Yes. Which I think has 500,000 signatures now. Is that right?
No.
Could you tell us what it is?
It has gotten 600 as of right now. It's got 667,971 signatures.
Piz, can I thank our sponsors, please?
And hold on to later, Orc. the fans or these people want HBO to remake season 8 of Game of Thrones with quote unquote competent writers. And again, 667, almost 700,000 people have signed this petition in just a few short days. And I look at this thing a couple of different ways. I look at it this way. This is one way. The show has been so good for so long that it's almost as if we've taken it for granted how good it's been. Yeah. So that when it does kind of slip a little bit, it's pandemonium. I also wonder how much of this is a troll. Yes. Did the guy who started this, was this a troll and it just sort of took off and there's really this many people who are pissed? Or I know there are a lot of people out there who are super pissed, but I mean, that's a lot of people. So I don't know. It's kind of like, Game of Thrones gave us, season like 1, 2, and 3 were like a good filet mignon. You know what I mean? Mm. It was so juicy and succulent, but it didn't quite fill you up. It left you wanting more. Then we got into like the T-bone era, which it was more to eat. It filled you up. Was not quite as succulent and juicy as the filet. and now we're kind of in the, then we kind of got into the,
now we're in the, you're at the fast food buffet. Don't mute me. Hang on. We're at the fast food.
We're in like the sirloin era now.
No, fuck the sirloin. We're in the fast food buffet, and it's like, is it a dog?
It's a really nice, center cut sirloin, which means it's it's good. It's good. It's still steak. But we've downgraded just a little bit, and now people are very upset.
Well, how do you feel about people trying to control the creative process in general? Like, you may not like the way the season's played out, but how do you feel about people, saying, oh, well, I don't like the way this has happened, so I should be able to change that?
Well, that certainly rings of, oh gosh, what's it called?
Megalomania?
Sure. Or, God, I can't think of the word, but entitlement.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think it goes back to the fact that the show's just been so good that, and I will admit 100%, I hated episode 3 of this season. I hated it. I like to just pretend that episode did not happen and there just were no White Walkers or anything in the series at all at this point. But I don't know. There are so many. Like, if you type in Game of Thrones into YouTube right after an episode, there are literally 100 different channels doing live streams about the episode, and 99 of those channels are tearing it apart.
I just don't. Well, yeah, we don't need to discuss episode 3 again, but I'll just speak more broadly than that, Piz. But I guess there's just nothing that I have seen that is so offensive to get me to react this way. And let me say, since episode 3, episode 4 and 5, I have not, it's not even that I've necessarily had problems with the plot developments. It's more in how it's been done. So this is a little bit of what I think I said the last time we talked about it, which is I just don't understand why the creators thought they could do the final season in just 6 episodes. I don't understand why they thought they could have done last season in whatever it was, 7 or 8 episodes. I can't remember, but it was a shortened episode number compared to the seasons before. It really seems to me, if and here there's a spoiler warning here. If you haven't seen the most recent Game of Thrones, turn back now. But if you're gonna take your character that her entire mission has been to get back to Westeros and take the Iron Throne, I guess some of the development around what's going to go into how she kind of snaps and lights the whole city on fire, civilians too. I just think there's more that could have been done. I think the barest planks of story are there to support why she did it, like, understanding how it is that she snapped. It's just that, to your point, Piz, in the first 3 seasons, think about a good filet mignon. Maybe you sit down to dinner, you got a nice cloth napkin, maybe a whiskey, big chunk of ice in there that cools it, doesn't water it down.
Mm.
And, you enjoy that steak.
And then you get some mozzarella sticks, right, Bruce?
Every bite is an experience. And, and then you take a drink, but you enjoy it. You don't wolf down a filet mignon. You got to enjoy it, right? And it just kind of feels like this last season is, I would almost, again, I think you're being kind and like, oh, it's a sirloin. It's almost like they want you to put a couple buns on that thing and wolf it down. Like, I just don't understand why. Mm-hmm. And especially there's been a bunch of stuff that's come out in the press lately where it's been, essentially revealed. Like HBO basically walked up to the creators of the show with bags of money and were like, make more seasons. You can have as many episodes as you like. Just keep making it. And they were like, nah. And I just can't understand that. Like, I think we talked the last time. It's like, do these guys, are they just done? They want to move on to Star Wars? Like, I'd like to hope that's not what it is. I don't know what it is. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I really wish, instead of these, like, interview people, like, the 25-year-olds that get to interview these big guys, I wish someone would, like, ask them a serious question. Instead of just like, what are you going to be doing when the finale airs? Like, ask them a serious question of like, you think the show would take 73 hours to make? Interesting. Can you help explain that? Because, we're sort of taking major character arcs and trying to fulfill them in like 80 minutes. It just doesn't make sense. So I'll pause there. I'm sorry, but that's my feeling on it there.
Well, and the fallout of the last episode is that a lot of the people who really liked episode 3 because Arya got to kill the Night King.
Yeah.
Now they're super pissed off because basically what this season of Game of Thrones has taught us is never tell a woman the truth. And the moment that a woman doesn't feel loved by all unconditionally, watch out, because it's about to rain hell down on you.
Well, I do want to commend you, Piz, because you were pretty much dead on. I thought it was so out in left field that they were going to try to do that with so little time left that I didn't think it was going to happen. But you nailed it, man.
Well, and honestly, I've heard a lot of people say, well, they foreshadowed her going insane many times over these seasons. And I'm going, no. They didn't foreshadow that. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
They wanted you to love this woman for 7 consecutive seasons.
What a travesty that is, though, the way that it went down like that. I mean,
and literally on a dime, now she's the big bad. It just does not make sense.
Like full spoilers. The previous big bad goes down in a very underwhelming way, and now we're supposed to want whoever to kill Daenerys. So I mean, whatever, man.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Piz. Go ahead.
Oh well, yeah. I was going to say, that character arc should have taken seasons.
Yeah.
Not an episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they should have planted the seeds of her mounting insanity or whatever, back in, years ago. But
there was a guy, Piz, on Twitter who, and again, the fact that this is on Twitter, the show didn't draw us as clear a line, but there was a guy that said something that I thought was very persuasive, that maybe if you think about it in these terms, it might help you wrap your mind around it. But like, the guy was basically making the point, if you look at what happened across the sea with Meereen and some of those other cities, Dany just kind of showed up. She had an army, told the slaves like, hey, you're free, you're great. And then the slaves would sort of like rise up and take over the cities. And then, that kind of just kept happening. And she just kept like getting more people to join her cause. Whereas, and so like Dany started just getting this feeling like that the people just loved her. She was amazing. She's the mother of dragons. She's the breaker of chains. Oh, she's so awesome. Meanwhile, she shows up in Westeros and people are like, who the fuck are you? Like that nobody's really that happy to see her. And that like the turning point kind of was that in the most recent episode, like when the bells ring and the city is surrendering, essentially, because if you'll notice, Danny almost has like a look of it's like a look of disgust on her face. And this person who, again, he's not a writer on the show, but he was sort of articulating his thought that she's both disappointed that they didn't rise up and like take the city for her, like all those cities across the sea. But then on top of that they weren't even passionate enough to like fight for their own city. And so it's almost like Danny in her own head is saying like, you know what? Fuck you people. Like you don't even want to save yourself. Like, why do I care? And then with the dialogue earlier about like, I'll rule by fear instead of by. So again, I'm not justifying the amount of story time that's been given to these things. I just know that when I read that thread and the author of it sort of put it in context, it helped me get right in a more clear way with what they were doing. But again, I'll pause there.
Did you like the last episode?
I liked. I first of all, because there were some people out there who were sort of like miffed that like Danny was like taking it to, the Navy and the Army and like ripping those dudes apart. And even when she killed like the Lannister soldiers, and maybe I don't know, like I was like, I don't flippin' care. Like maybe I'm just silly, but I remember back when these people were killing people at a wedding. And everybody was all happy and gleeful about it. And it's like, well, you ought to be ruthless to win. And it's like, fuck you guys. This is what you get for doing that. Now, when she started, lighting women and children on fire, I obviously wasn't supportive of that. But I enjoyed what the episode did. And I certainly thought the Clegane Bowl, so the Hound versus Brother, was pretty great. And I even thought it, was sort of maybe unintentionally humorous. Like he stabbed him in the eye and he was like, oh, for fuck's sake. He didn't die, which I just thought was funny. Again, I thought that was a satisfying scene. I certainly didn't have, I liked it better than I think I liked episode 4. Because I felt like this episode was allowed to play out in real time. Whereas episode 4, I think if you were to really take like a calendar and track like the beginning of the episode all the way into the end, what we, the audience, don't see is there's probably like at least a month, if not more, that passes. But the show doesn't really do anything to sort of convey that. So at least this episode kind of took place 24 style in real time while the city's getting raised. And I just appreciated that it's like, okay, we can just take our time, be here in this moment, and experience this. So I didn't mind it. Again, like I said, I didn't like what Danny did, but that's not necessarily that I didn't like the episode.
Yeah, I liked the episode. I liked. I loved the scene between Jaime and Tyrion in the tent. Thought that was great.
Yeah,
great stuff. Loved. I really liked the scene with the Hound and Arya. Although he probably should have. Told her to take off earlier before she was right in the middle of the city falling apart around her.
Yeah.
But I liked that little interchange and her saying thank you, and I loved. Yeah, and I loved Clegane Bowl. I thought it was I loved it when the Hound's just stabbing him and like he's just like. And like he just starts laughing maniacally, like he's dying, but he's laughing maniacally because he's like, I can't kill this freaking guy.
Yeah.
But I loved how that ended with both of them falling into the flames. Great stuff. And all the destruction of the city. I mean, it was a really well done episode. The acting was great. The music was great. The destruction was great. But yeah, I just, I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting finale on Sunday.
The only problem is somebody did, like, there was a Reddit, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you want to, even though I am not critical like these people, it's still really funny. And, Orcs always talking about the memes. This is a subreddit that if you like memes.
Wait, hang on. Okay, so you're going to bring a spicy meme. Spicy. All right, what is the subreddit you're about to talk about, Bruce?
It's called Free Folk.
Okay, and for those of you who are unaware, Reddit is the most dank site that is actually moderated somewhat, depending on where you go. If you're on like Watch People Die, you're not going to find much moderation.
Is this
there.
like Facebook?
No, it doesn't have your grandma and stuff like that. But it's
don't
like
understand.
4chan. Sorry?
I don't understand.
Oh, okay. So just type in reddit.com and you'll find a lot of immature people. Like I'm 30, but like, I'll type stuff on there like I'm 12. So it's pretty cool. But I think Reddit is a good place to start if you don't want to see the crazy stuff on 4chan. But sorry, Bruce, go ahead. Reddit is a good site. Oh, wait. And while I'm at it, I'll give a shout out to an old TSF guy, but got to thank our sponsor for the show, Crush. Thank you guys. Here's a sip. Live soda review because I can't review movies because I'm stupid as fuck. Very, very good. I think Diet Crush is almost on par with Diet Sunkist. Okay, back to what you were saying. Sorry, I fucked everything up. Here we go.
Game of Thrones. I don't even
Thrones.
remember what the hell I was going to say.
Did you eat any of those Oreos? We haven't hit Friday the 13th. Oh no, we did.
Let me ask Stingray. Stingray, did you see the last episode of Game of Thrones? Did you dig it?
No, I didn't care for it. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't like the way things are going, but that's just me.
Well, I think probably part of the reason why I did enjoy it was because I could see where a lot of it was going to go as far as but there was, like I said, there was really good acting in it, and I loved Clegane Bowl.
Like what? So Jamie knows that she's trying to kill him. He finally finds Brienne. They have a nice little love scene for like 5 minutes total. And he's like, I got to get back to this lady who hates my guts and wants me dead. And, goes back, gets captured. Daenerys probably should have killed him like 10 times over by now. But, miraculously he survives. And now Tyrion's probably going to get executed next episode, right? Because he let him go.
Well,
yeah.
She did say that your next mistake would be your last.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't. And then, I mean, the way they went out, man, that was so like, oh man, it was so underwhelming. Like it was, I mean, we've watched for 8 seasons for that.
Yeah. I think, his redemption arc was so long, you know what I mean? For it to turn around in just like a second and be like, okay, so we finally give you this fan service moment of him and Brienne hooking up. And then literally 5 minutes later, I'm going back to my crazy sister.
Well, see, and that's the thing is, I think if you had stretched that out, heck, even over 2 episodes, I think people would have bought it more. Because it seems perfectly plausible to me that a guy who's psycho enough to love his own sister and do the deplorable things they've done together, and be so into her, even knowing how awful she is for the longest time, that he would backslide, I find very plausible. But the fact that he sleeps with Brienne and then like in screen time, it's like you say, Piz, it's like 5 minutes later, it's like, oh no, I'm going to go back and be with her. Like it just strains the imagination to understand like what happened in his brain. Whereas if you'd given him a little more space to breathe that in, even just more time with Brienne, where you just sort of see he's just really unsatisfied with what this life is. He thinks he's chosen, or it's too good for him. He needs to be beaten upon by Cersei. I don't know, but just doing it in the same episode, it robbed it of any power it might have had. And that's on the creators. That's on pacing. That's again, storytelling wise. And again, you guys are free to disagree with me, of course, but I feel like storytelling wise, I would buy that beat. Just not at the pace at which they gave it to us. It was nonsense.
Yeah, I agree. Have you seen the interviews with, there's an interview with Kit Harington where the woman says, what's your thoughts on the final episode of Game of Thrones? And he goes, disappointing. his response was disappointing. And when the woman was like, are you serious? And he was like, epic. One of the two. I don't know.
So we know that he's not the one who does it.
and like there's another interview where the woman asks Amelia Clark, "What'd you think of season 8 of the show?" And Amelia Clark just starts laughing. She can't answer. She like makes a face like it hurts. And the woman's like, "Well, you didn't say anything." And she's like, "Best season ever."
Oh man, that's
Yeah. So I mean, you've got your two lead actors, like telling us basically.
Jon Snow's been sleeping through this whole season anyway, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
One of the best memes out there is the one where it's like that little like Muppet character where it's like the eyes are like he's realizing something bad, and it's like about like to all those parents who named their daughter Khaleesi, who's basically a genocidal madman now.
And that was a big name for a long time with girls was Khaleesi. That was a big name.
I don't know what you're talking about, but that's a funny meme. I like it. I approve. That's good.
But I mean, imagine if how can they kill Tyrion in the last episode of the series and get out? And I mean, can they do that to the lad? I mean, I hope not. For God's sake, I'm sure
think they could. I honestly think it's all up for grabs now.
I mean, that would just be such a horrible way to end the series with Tyrion being executed, and then Jon Snow's going to have to kill Dany, and what are they going to do? I mean, they've still got the Unsullied and what's left of the Dothraki. They're not going to be happy about that. I mean,
maybe that would be the motivating factor, though. It's like at first, I mean, if her raising the city is not enough, what would drive Jon to sort of that action? Well, again, I'm assuming it's Jon, but I don't know who else could get close enough to her unless it's Arya. But so it's an open question whether Tyrion makes it out. I just don't see how Daenerys does. I really don't.
Yeah,
I think she dies.
There's no way. She's a goner. She's a goner.
Yeah.
She's a goner. No. Jon will kill her and then go to the north to be with the free folk.
Yeah.
That's definitely what's going to happen. No doubt about it.
Maybe he can actually pet Ghost this time if he sees him again.
There you go. I don't know. I don't know. It's like I want to see the finale, but at the same time, I'm just thinking like, oh, it could be really bad. I don't know.
Do you guys think that the horse was Bran?
I keep seeing that. I don't know.
He's not done anything this season either. I mean,
or ever.
Yeah. Well, here's a funny meme I saw too. Apparently, it's common knowledge that Lena Headey was getting paid $1 million per episode for this season, and the meme was like, got paid $1 million to stare out of a window
and drink wine.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So,
how awesome would that be to just get paid like $1 million for like a few days of shooting, like a week, maybe max? How long do they take to shoot an episode?
I think they take a while to shoot, but I mean,
if you watch the behind the scenes on that show, I mean, they really put a lot into those set pieces and everything. So, I mean, it's like they gave them said budget and said, do what you want to do. And they're like, oh man, we can only do like 6-7 episodes with that. Instead of like, hey, let's give this thing a proper send off. I don't know what happened there.
Well, that's just the thing, Jay. Is that's not even accurate. HBO would have if the creators had said, well, we should do 10 episodes. HBO would have been like, okay, what do you need to make that happen? And they would have given it to them. And they're the ones that are like, it doesn't matter. It's 6 episodes will do. Like, I don't get what these guys were smoking. I really don't.
But I mean, do any of you guys like what's going on here? Like, I mean, it seems like it's a consensus that none of us like are really enjoying the way they're going with this thing.
Again, I feel like I need to parse my words, and I'm not trying to play both sides. I have not necessarily minded this, like the direction that the story has gone. I just don't think it has had enough time to breathe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These plot points aren't necessarily out of left. Again, Dany killing civilians is a little out of left field for me. I don't care what they say, but generally speaking, the things that have happened, I don't think are out of the realm of like what I sort of expected or what I thought could happen. It's just that they just are happening, boom, 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 and you don't even have it again. Like so I know, we can argue about whether or not it was satisfying the death of the Night King, right? We can argue about that. We can quibble about it. But what I would agree with you about is it's like, okay, we defeated the army of the dead, the Night King. This entity that was threatening mankind for 1,000 years. And the next episode, it's just kind of like, well, let's just have a party and everybody have sex, and then we're gonna move on to the next thing. It's like, shouldn't there be some kind of catharsis or something? Like, it's just like it's the next day, and it's just like, Jon Snow gets out of bed. Oh, wow, what a day! Like, come on, man, you got to give that some time to breathe.
No, not, nope, not at all. None of that at all. We've got some discussion about Terminator 3 in the chat, and that is still the only Terminator movie that I've not seen.
That's a good one.
Oh man, you got to check that out, Piz.
It's the only one I've not seen. Yeah.
Piz, you haven't seen one of the movies from my favorite franchise? What a noob.
Piz, I mean, if even just to see Kristana Loken naked, man. I mean, come on, you got to.
Yeah. Okay, this is my Piz is Exposed segment of the show.
I thought your favorite series was the Grave Encounters series. Anyway,
that's my favorite movie franchise. There's like 4 of them or something. First one's so good. Anyways, this is called Piz Exposed. Piz, I hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna make you watch it. Piz has not seen Seven Samurai.
Really?
No, that's not true. I've seen that.
Oh, okay. All right. Fuck. Well, I thought you hadn't.
I've just not seen Terminator 3. I've just avoided it.
There was journalistic integrity from work if I've ever seen.
Yep. I asked the hard-hitting question.
No, you should actually watch Terminator 3. Its reputation is way lower than the film itself. There's a couple goofy choices in it, but honestly, the second movie has just as goofy moments. People are more forgiving of it. But the third film has some incredible set pieces. It is bleaker than anything else in the series, which of course appeals to me. It's damn worth watching.
What is your favorite Jim Cameron film, Lauren?
Piranha 2: The Spawning.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. After that, it'd be the original Terminator. If you're asking me which one I enjoy watching the most, it honestly would be Piranha 2: The Spawning, because I laugh pretty much from beginning to end, which is awesome, and it is the intent of the movie, I have to believe. But I like the original Terminator. It gets real rough for me after that.
Are you telling me that you watched Avatar, and at the end of Avatar, your journalistic integrity just went to hell?
Why?
Because Avatar is it's a great film.
I've never claimed that I have an opinion on it.
All right, fuck all this shit. No one cares. All right, okay. Arnold Schwarzenegger naked in the first Terminator. What do we think out of 10? Rate him. 9.5. 9.5 fresh tomatoes.
Oh God. Oh jeez.
Okay, no. Seriously, though, on a serious note,
on a pizza that you ate before.
Wait. Say again, Lauren.
The only fresh tomatoes there were on the pizza you ate before.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of fresh tomatoes. A lot of it's canned.
They can't grow them in Maine. They can't grow them in Maine. It's out of the temperate zone.
Well, I mean, like I'm basically in like Russia, kind of. All right, quick shout out. No bullshit. Quick shout out. Rambo Raf, I'm sorry you listened to one of your viewers and have shitty internet and can't get out of a contract, even though someone should be able to pay you out of your contract. But he just uploaded 20th anniversary of Blair Witch Project is this year. I think it's actually in July, but he just did a commentary on his channel. And I don't watch movies, but here's the movies checking out. A classic.
Does that movie not have a Blu-ray release?
It does, yeah, it does.
Okay.
But I'm a noob, so I have it on DVD.
I don't think I have the Blu-ray of it.
But I don't think it was limited. I think it's just one of those $8 to $10 Blu-rays. But yeah, shout out to Rambo Raf. Go check that out. I might actually watch it again and just sync it up with his commentary. But Rambo, Mike, and James. Yeah, we miss you guys. Quick shout out.
Yeah, man, 20 years since the Blair Witch Project. Wow.
That's what he says. He starts his video. He's like, God damn, has it been 20 years since 1999? He just looks at his camera. He's like, fuck? He's like, that's funny.
Well,
But
keep
yeah.
in mind too. I mean, that was like the dawning of the internet, and that was only like 20 years ago. That's wow.
Yeah. Net Zero, Juno, AOL,
Yeah.
1999. That was
Man.
like the prime. Yeah.
Jeez, we may have to do a commentary then. Yeah. Lauren, your thoughts on Blair Witch?
I love the original Blair Witch. I had actually gotten a screener of the film a good year before it was released. It's missing a couple sequences, but it has a couple of sequences that are massively extended in it. It's on VHS. I still have it. I don't have a way to watch it anymore. I got it as a tape, just told, hey, this is a movie. It's great, but I knew nothing about it. There was no hype or anything, and I thought it was super effective. So when people talk about the hype around the movie, I'm not. I think just because everyone had that experience, they kind of overlook the fact that it's a really successful narrative. It gets under your skin. The fact that they keep telling you you're hearing things that you're not hearing, it really messes with you as a viewer. I think it's a really solid film. I like the sequel as well for being this kind of middle finger to all the people who came later on to the original film. I can't say the remake or relaunch or whatever the hell that thing was a couple of years ago had added anything new. But I liked it.
I liked it.
I wanted to like it. I really did. And I think when I walked out of the theater, I convinced myself that I kind of liked it. But then I saw a chunk of it later, and I was like, oh, no. I just wanted to like it.
Yeah.
And that's true. When I walk into the theater, I try and like everything I pay money for. I really do. But it doesn't always work out.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That was just such a geez. And the Curse of the Blair Witch, that little making that like documentary, like faux documentary about it was so freaking effective too, man. I remember watching that thing on Sci-Fi Channel before seeing the movie, and like I was scared by that. And I was thinking, well, if this scares me, my God, the movie must be terrifying.
That's kind of the thing too, is like I look at the fact that thing cost the cost of a minivan at the time to make. And is incredibly effective for what it is. And yet you have movies spend, $40 million and they can't pull off a jump scare properly. It's kind of, that's why I keep thinking that you just got to get creators into these studios and let them have some kind of free will to make the film that they want to make. Not just boardroom films.
But what's unfortunate is like Eduardo Sanchez and Daniel Myrick. I mean, they never, as creative as they were with that film, like nobody gave them the creativity to kind of, I mean, they've each done other films, but I mean, there was never, instead of them wanting, they wanted to do the Rustin Parr story. And they were like, and the Lionsgate was like, no, or Artisan was like, no, we got to do a sequel.
I mean, but the missing chapter there is that they got to make their Freaky Links television show, and there was big expectations around that, and it failed pretty miserably.
So I don't even remember that.
It was a good show. It just never found an audience, and it kind of destroyed all the currency they had with Lionsgate, and the rest of the industry never took them seriously.
Yeah.
Which was unfortunate. I mean, they saw it as a fluke, and marketing sold that thing, and that's not really fair to the movie they made. Yeah.
Well, Eduardo Sanchez has done. He did a movie called Altered that I enjoyed. He did one of the shorts for I think it's VHS 2, and it was a really good one. I think what else he's done. He did that Bigfoot movie. Geez, what was it called?
It's not Exist. It's another one.
I can't think. And I didn't love it. It had some good moments, but he is he's a fairly talented filmmaker. So I mean, don't know what the other guys, Daniel Meyer, don't know what he's up to. I know he did a movie. I actually own it on DVD, but I can't remember what it's called. I never watched it. Anyway.
And you got to remember, like the time period Blair Witch came out was we just come through the Scream wave.
Yeah.
And the fact that this was exactly the opposite. It was gritty to a level that you wouldn't even expect to be released to theaters. It had acting that was so naturalistic because it wasn't conventional acting. It was everything Scream wasn't. Exactly. There was no pop songs on the soundtrack. There was no musical score. It was all just sound slowed down so that their natural ambiance became a kind of score.
Can you take me higher?
So I think what people forget when they get cynical about Blair Witch is that Blair Witch helped reset the genre. After Scream brought it back from the drought and found an audience for it, Blair kind of reset it and said, okay, floodgates are open, we'll figure out what's next, but we needed this moment. It was the kind of the corollary when you have bands like Boston or Kansas get stale and you could listen to it with your parents, so punk rock had to happen. Blair Witch is that moment that reset the genre.
Kind of related, but not really. It's almost, we're approaching 2020. Think about this too. So Blair Witch was 99, right? And then most people didn't have DSL or cable internet till like the mid 2000s, like 2004, 2005. And that was almost 15 years ago. That makes you feel really old. Like, I mean, I think I had it in like 2001, and then for a few years I didn't have it. And then I got it back in like 06. I don't know, but it's pretty nuts if you think about it. And fuck satellite internet. I hate it so much. Dish and DirecTV can kiss my ass. Many lost games, many dropped raids. You know, like 24-hour raids going on. Fuck.
Our old buddy Jason Lima is in the chat. How you doing tonight, Jason? Hope you're
How
doing
you
well.
doing, Rhode Island for the win?
Adam Bomb Cinema in 3D's in the chat with us tonight. Marbsy, Roland 666. Hope you guys are doing well. Mr. McNugget still hanging out with us. I thought I saw a question for us in the chat, but now I'm not seeing it. Somebody said pay Orc $1 million so he can look out in the distance and drink soda. Marbsy.
I pretty much do that, but just take away 6 zeros, and that's how much I give.
There you go. Well, and one other thing about Blair Witch Project that I thought was really interesting was how the people who loved that movie when it was released, just a few short years later, hated the movie, or at least said that they hated the movie. Like I know people who said that after they watched the movie, they got out of the car and ran to their door to get in. They were so freaked out.
That's when you know it's a good horror movie too. Like I know I cut you off, but I know pretty much where you were going. Like what's that movie? No, Bruce, man, it's not like that. I'm just trying to. It's like that alien abduction movie with Mila Jovovich.
Fourth Kind.
Fourth Kind.
That had that effect. You know, those creepy moments that Blair Witch had on me back in the day. Even though I was a lot younger when Blair Witch, but you know, when you're truly terrified, like I was like in the mountains of Colorado, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get abducted, lock all the windows and shit. But then what's funny though is like Jeepers Creepers came out in 2000, 2001, but like you're saying, it got a lot of haters and stuff, and people who, I fucking hate the word haters, but people who disliked the film and were not fans of it after they said they liked it, right? And then that's when like Bogus Witch Project came out and all those films and like all those parody movies at the time, remember?
Yeah, like it became cool at one point to say that you didn't like the Blair Witch Project for whatever reason.
You know, I know I've said this many times on the show before, but, you know, I thought it was real when I watched it. Then when I kind of found out that it was, you know, all, I mean, not a hoax, but, you know, all kind of just, you know, played up like it was real. You know, and they had all the cast members on, like, the Tonight Show or some late night show. Yeah. I was like, man, this is bullshit. I did kind of get turned off of it a little bit, and I don't think I maybe have watched it a time or two since, but
it's hard to believe how, I mean, that movie permeated pop culture. You could not go anywhere without seeing, you know, an advertisement for the movie or the stick figure or, you know, those three on a magazine cover or on the back of a magazine. They were on all the talk shows. I mean, it was just that movie made on a nothing budget. You know what I mean? Just took over pop culture. Yeah, just weird to think that.
Sci-Fi Channel ran was that The Curse of the Blair Witch, or was that something else?
It was called The Curse of the Blair Witch. It was like a faux documentary about the movie.
Right.
You can find that on YouTube too.
It's so
The
good.
thing is I got pulled out of it because when I was first, the thing I thought that was cool about it is like, because the whole found footage concept I know isn't exactly new, but I was a stupid kid. I started like really wondering, like, is this real or is this like based on something? And that documentary, I was like, oh man, this is real. And I lived in Virginia, so like Burkittsville, Maryland, it's like, holy shit, this isn't that far away. But when I was watching the documentary, I got yanked out of the fiction, because there's like a part of it that's at like an insane asylum or something. And one of the dudes at the insane asylum is the old guy from the beginning of Halloween 5. The dude that like keeps Michael like in his shack or whatever. I was like, wait a second, that guy's an actor. Oh, okay, it must not be real. All right.
Or maybe that guy, maybe the movie just drove that guy insane. You know what I mean? Being in that movie drove him insane.
Maybe.
So, I don't know.
That's true.
But yeah, man, gosh, 20 years. My goodness. Jay the Stingray, you mentioned what's the movie called? Lokeisha? What's it about? What's this trailer about, Stingray?
I thought it would be fun to discuss because it's essentially like a modern day like Soul Man.
Hey Jay, did you have a double pipe classic today at all?
I don't know what that is.
It's on the show.
But yeah, it's this guy, like it totally doesn't even play today because this guy is like, he's down on his luck, can't get a job, whatever. And he gets this idea of acting like he's a black woman. It's a white guy acting like he's a black woman on a radio show, which, I mean, do those even still exist? Like a call-in talk radio type show? Anyway, that's his whole deal. And he pretends like he's this black lady named Lokeisha, and it's all over the place as being, you know, racist and other things as well on the internet. So
I can't even find the trailer. I typed in Lokeisha in the search on YouTube, and all it is videos. Is Lokeisha racist? Is Lokeisha movie racist? Is this racist?
I'll post it here in the YouTube chat as well. But
here's one. Twitter has problems with the Lokeisha trailer. Lokeisha movie trailer stirs up controversy for having racist storyline.
You guys go watch this and see what you think, everybody.
I didn't think it was racist at all.
You are a white man, Lorne. How could you know?
Well,
Yeah, you've been so privileged.
well, yeah, absolutely.
Better check your privilege, bro.
No, I mean, but what's actually on screen isn't racist. It's about the idea of perception and people's natural biases. That's what the movie's about. So I don't think that by itself is racist. I just don't.
Okay, I'm the only mixed, ethnicity guy on this panel right now.
Why do you
So
assume-
obviously, as you can tell,
Why do you assume that?
because I look the most mixed. You know,
You look.
You do.
I
You look
was-
like a lumpy white dude.
no, I'm not I'm not a lumpy white dude. Okay, anyways, but I mean, you guys are Caucasian males. You should hate every aspect of your life and want to kill yourselves. You
Well, I
should.
want to kill myself
That's
enough for those reasons.
like a lot of people in America, I was told that I am part Native American.
Oh, okay.
And of course, my family still believes that, even though I've done the DNA test that completely disproved that. I'm 99.9% like Western European.
Oh,
Jay,
man.
you shouldn't have done the DNA thing, man.
I'm as
Now
white
they
as you
got
could
you.
possibly be. So
Still be a senator and claim Native American heritage.
yeah.
You can pull
We've
an
proven
Elizabeth.
that.
You can pull an Elizabeth Warren, dude. That's all you gotta do.
Jay, if you murder someone, now they have your DNA. The FBI can go and pull your DNA
Well,
from
I mean,
those like DNA things
I'm
they've
fine
got.
with that. I don't plan on
Okay.
murdering anybody.
Well,
I'm
that's
just
okay.
saying,
Well,
watch
you
out,
can
man.
wear
Be careful.
you can wear gloves too. I mean, we've seen the
You don't
movies.
always plan on these things. Sometimes they just happen.
That's true.
But here's the thing: if you do actually have to kill someone, remember, do not bury a body. That preserves it. You want to leave it out in the open in an untraveled area, say a large wilderness area that is privately owned. Chances of someone coming across it in the time before it decays is very small. Add Pam cooking spray to the body that'll attract insects and animals.
Whoa, hold on, buddy.
Best friends in all this.
Is this video going to get flagged?
We were
now?
worried about Ort getting his flag.
No. And also, and another great a great hero of our generation, Jeffrey Dahmer. There's a great documentary called The Jeffrey Dahmer Files, or you could do what Lauren's saying, or you could just get a acid waste bucket in your apartment and just dunk people's heads in there. Like kind of like Friday the 13th Part 8. Dunk
Is that when Hawkeye eats all those gay dudes?
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
I just watched the Lakeisha trailer, and my God.
I mean, can you imagine them thinking that's going to play in today's world?
I'm surprised somebody gave this guy money to make that. Unless he's, I mean, it looks like it looks super low budget. I mean, maybe he financed it himself, but my God.
Like, honestly, like I'm totally okay with it, but I mean, I feel like that's what comedy is, and everybody's got a chip on their shoulder these days, and kind of they're set to be reacting to things, and
yeah.
What you just said right there, Jay, is not funny.
But I mean, you guys saw White Chicks with the Wayans brothers. I mean, not a good movie, but kind of a similar thing. But that's that's acceptable. That's like the reversal, man.
Jay, do you feel bad for being white?
I wake up every day, I look in the mirror, and I feel shame.
Like you just see what happened to Weinstein, and then you just and Spacey, and you just log on Twitter, and if you open up Facebook, that's a risky click to begin with, and you're like,
I don't know if them being white was the problem there.
Yeah, but it all goes back to white people. But you open your Facebook or Twitter, and then you're Western European, you have your cup of coffee, and it's just like a shit show waiting to happen. I don't hate anyone. I just hate anyone who was in the female Ghostbusters movie. Oh God, we're gonna get flagged again. Jesus. I don't know. I mean, I give everyone a chance. I would have ice cream Haagen-Dazs with Kim Jong-un too, if I had the chance.
Steve in the chat asked if any of us had played the Blair Witch PC games. I don't know if I even knew Blair Witch PC games existed.
Wow, I didn't either.
I didn't even know there was one. Yeah, I played Slender Man back in the day.
That's interesting. Roland 666 mentions the Robert Eggers upcoming film, The Lighthouse, with Willem Dafoe and Robert Patrick.
That's cool. Patrick is still working. He's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
I like him. Dusk Till Dawn 2. A lot of people don't talk about that. Not the greatest movie. Terminator 2, Faculty. Underrated movie. No one talks about it anymore. Because it was 90s.
You know what I think we need? Something that we've not had in a long time. And we need a fix. This audience needs a fix of Stingray Spotlight. What you got for us in the Spotlight tonight, Stingray?
Oh, got caught with your pants down. This is like someone's watching you.
It's been a while.
Since I could watch J Spotlight, and it's been a while since I said I'm sorry.
Thanks for buying me some time with that.
But all this shit seems to disappear when I'm with Jay.
All right, cool.
The Stingray.
All right, cool. I got one here. It's Warning Sign. Have you guys seen that film from 1985?
Absolutely.
Sounds familiar.
I thought it was really cool. It's about they're doing it's kind of before its time. It's all talking about GMOs and stuff, doing genetic testing, and this it's like an agricultural town, farming community, and it's this lab out there, and I don't know exactly what happens, but they create something that's really volatile, and it spreads throughout this lab, even though it's been quarantined. And these guys they kind of like mutate, and they kind of go crazy, and I don't know. It's really interesting. It's a really fun film that I thought was kind of underrated. I hadn't really heard about it talked about before. From 85.
I don't know if I've seen it or not. I don't think I've seen it. I'm gonna have to check it out.
And a whole another aspect of it is the town. It's all just a bunch of hick farmers, and they've all got shotguns and stuff, and they're trying to blast their way in, and then the mutants are trying to get their way out, and they eventually meet each other, and the mutants kill all the townspeople. It's pretty interesting.
Cool. Let's check that out. Yeah, cool. Nice. All right, very good Stingray Spotlight, recommending us a good movie. Nice. All right, guys. Let's I see Lawrence put on his bandana. So
Yeah, dude, he's cripping as a mofo right now, dude.
I voted
All
for
right.
the bandana.
It's a purple bandana. I'm not taking sides.
All right, okay. Well, they're gonna take your side if you know what I'm saying. All right, this is a new segment, Lauren's legendary moment, or no wait, Lauren's legendary.
Lawrence Tupac impression.
Yeah, Lauren's Tupac. Okay, so what do you think about Tupac, Lauren?
I think he's room temperature for a long time.
Ooh, damn, holy shit. Ooh.
Whatever.
Ooh.
So there's a new Midsummer trailer that came out yesterday. I don't know if you've checked it out. It continues to look awesome. Definitely check that out. They just announced that The Shining is coming to 4K, which if there's a film visually that needs that, that's probably it. Kubrick, of course, wouldn't have given a crap because he didn't care about what any of the video releases look like. But I think we all will enjoy that. And I just want to run down the 12 genre movies that are coming out this summer.
Cool.
We got
Go for
12
it.
movies. We have 12 movies coming out in the next 4 months. I mean, actually, more like 3. Brightburn comes out on the 24th, of course. That is next week. We have Godzilla.
Hang on. What do you think of Brightburn? Are you going to see it in the theater?
Because
it looks.
it looks
excited
fine,
for
but
it.
I don't
It
think
looks
it'll make it out the theaters. Godzilla and Ma come out on the 31st. The Dead Don't Die comes out June 14th. Child's Play on the 21st. Followed the next week by Annabelle Comes Home on the 26th, giving Child's Play an uphill battle in the second week. Midsummer comes out on July 3rd. Crawl on July 12th. Brahm, The Boy 2 comes out on July 26th, the sequel no one asked for. August 9th, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. August 19th, 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. And on August 23rd, Ready or Not. So, I mean, realistically, that's a pretty heavy schedule for genre films for a summer.
Dude, you just made your own segment. Lauren's Thuggin' News segment. There you go, dude.
Well, and a lot of those movies I want to see, which is shocking.
How many of those do you think are going to get a theatrical release?
All of them.
Really? Okay.
That 47 Meters Down, the first one actually did. I mean, it made pretty good business. So I mean, I'm not surprised.
That was the one that was released like on Blu-ray, then they pulled it back as a different title.
It did. Apparently, it did so well on like DVD and Blu-ray that they pulled it and released it in theaters, and it did pretty well in theaters.
That's a good film. I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. Yeah. Definitely want to see Brightburn. I think that looks good. I want to see Midsummer. I want to see Crawl. I want to see the new Child's Play.
And then Joker might be a pile of shit. That comes out in the fall. Rambo comes out in the fall. Rambo 5, I have interest in it. And then It Chapter 2. So,
by the way, everyone should try and avoid articles about Child's Play. There's an article that hit today that is a pretty huge spoiler. Some of you might know some of what the film's really about, but it just gives it away.
Sucks.
Yep.
Why do that? That's so pointless.
And you know what the scary thing is? It's not I'm not going to say where it is because I don't want people to find it that way either, but it's not a small website. This is like a legitimate news organization now in the business of spoiling horror movies. It's just insane.
anything for clicks, baby. Give me those pennies all day
It's about
long.
money. It's always about money. It's always
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when it wasn't as much about money? Like when things didn't break when you bought them and stuff? That was pretty cool, right?
The thing is, it was always about money, but the analytics weren't there, so they didn't pretend to know what they were doing. They didn't know that there was any money in spoiling movies because they had no way to track it. The internet has made it that they think they know what sells, and they think they know how to make money off every single circumstance. It's ugly.
Yeah, I'm like actively trying to avoid spoilers at all costs.
By the way, pro tip, if you want to avoid spoilers, don't go on Facebook. Just uninstall Facebook Messenger. You can watch as much YouTube shit as you want. Just don't scroll down to the comments. Never go on Twitch. And just don't go to like trending on Twitter and you'll be fine.
I mean, the justification is like if you don't see it opening night, like you deserve to have it spoiled for you.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, bro. I don't have the time or the desire to go do that. Like, I mean, give me a couple weeks at least before you put that stuff out like publicly.
Yeah.
Like, please have some respect for other people.
Some people literally get rock hard though too, just by like they love to just spoil shit, whether it be books, games, movies. Like, oh, he gets decapitated at the end, in like some random game. I don't understand why. Like,
Yeah. I love it when I'm reviewing a movie from like 1975 and I give a little bit too much of the plot away, and invariably someone in the comment section, spoiler alert, why did you put spoiler alert on? You're spoiling the movie. And I'm like, dude, this movie's older than me. How do you spoil a movie that's 40 years old?
What I love about the movie spoilers though is I haven't seen it with my own eyes, like in the theater. So I love spoilers. People would be like, "Oh well, Michael gets trapped in the basement and then they don't see he doesn't get away." And I'm like, "Cool, awesome."
There are people out there who seek out spoilers. My girlfriend likes to read spoilers. I can't stand it. She loves to read spoilers. She's like, "Oh, I know the spoilers." And I'm like, "Well, why are you watching the movie then?"
Okay,
know how it's gonna end. Why are you watching
if it's a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, you just don't have dinner with her. That's Pizzle time. You go to the man cave, lock the door.
She just knows not to tell me. She'll tell me that she's read spoilers, but she won't tell me what they are. But I mean, I get frightened because I'm like, well, why do you even want to watch the movie then? You know what's going to happen. Why? I don't get it.
That's the way I feel about it. Yeah, I mean, it's like that's the biggest experience for me. Like if there's a twist or something, like I don't want to know that.
Yeah,
that's the whole experience.
My favorite YouTube videos of all time are the ones that are about specific movies, and it'll be like the ending explained, and there's no twist ending at the end of the film. It's literally this like explains exactly what happens at the end of the movie, which anyone who watches would not have any questions about. That's hilarious.
And those videos get hundreds of thousands and millions of views. Yeah, like I'll see those and I'll go, okay, what about freaking what about Halloween 2018 needed to be explained? You know what I mean? What about the ending of that movie needed to be explained? Or even, yeah, it's ridiculous. There's a bunch of channels that do that, and they
successful.
Exactly. I don't get it.
I mean, I guess if you get like bored of browsing Pornhub, I mean, you have to do something with your life. But I mean,
whoever gets bored of browsing Pornhub.
Well, there's a lot of people in the basement. That's all I'm saying.
Orc has discovered you can't upload and download at the same time on that site.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm a premium member, but
Cameron's joined us. Cameron's joined us. What's up, Cameron? How you doing, man?
Oh, good. Just racing back with all the traffic. What are we talking about now? The spoilers? We're
talking about who killed Annie.
Well, nobody killed Annie.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know what that's a reference to.
Oh, the spoilers thing. I'll admit I have been guilty of movies that I don't really care about reading the Wikipedia thing after the first weekend to decide if it's even worth my time. But I don't do that for things I care about. But like,
do you do the Wikipedia shit if you get a few collector's editions and you're like, I got like 5 hours of special features, maybe 10 to watch. They're just like loaded criterions or something. You're like, I need to know now whether this is gonna suck.
Well, I don't know. Well, Piz made me buy The Hitcher this morning before 7 o'clock in the morning, so thank you very much for that.
You literally just woke up, took a leak, and then you're just like, oh, I gotta get this.
I saw that there was a video, and the moment Piz said it was region free, it was new tab open, search, buy.
Well, yeah, I mentioned that earlier that you'd posted that you got it for like $25, which is a good price for that.
German Amazon, that was including shipping.
Wow, whoa. That's damn.
Now it's not the same cover as yours. It's one of the other 5 covers, but it's the same content. So
yeah, exactly.
Free shipping from across the pond though, and then some. Germany.
It's $3. Usually from England to my house, it's like $3 for shipping. It's cheaper than Amazon US. So
is this company based in Denmark or somewhere like that?
Yeah. It's
okay.
Yeah.
I've heard the name before. I'm not familiar with some of their other releases.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited about that because, and Piz also mentioned I can now retire my DVD from 1999. So, and
in the snapper case, lol, I have that.
But the last time I bought a German Blu-ray region free was when Block came out, the John Landis film, and then Arrow released the U.S. version of it. So I have a feeling there's going to be a Hitcher U.S. version before we know it at some point.
Well, see, I mentioned that too because. It's listed as being region B, but it's all region, and the company did that just to not to stay out of trouble. And that more and more international companies are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So
like
not to get in. like
your
umbrella.
umbrella releases from Australia are usually all region free.
Yeah.
And I got that Amityville set that had like all the documentaries on there too, and I mean that saved me more money because all the documentaries were on there as extras.
Exactly.
So that got me really happy.
Yeah.
Just want to say that I've had a busy day. I of course, been sharing around that Game of Thrones petition so we can get season 8 refilmed, and now I'm really excited that Edward the Vampire is Batman.
Yeah, we mentioned that it just broke a little while ago. Edward, the Batman.
Yeah.
Actually, let's see. Let's see how many signatures are on that petition now.
By the way, what idiot thinks
It's over
that
600,000
that they're going to do anything? Let's say
They're
it
not.
gets 5 million signatures. They're not going to do anything with that. They're not going to redo a season.
No, they're not. But I think it's. I mean, I've been watching all these YouTube channels, all these Twitter accounts, like just firing on it, saying how terrible, it's awful. You guys are overprivileged fans, blah blah blah. I think it's hilarious because it at least shows creators that, like, listen, you can't just like knock off a season of TV and go to your Hollywood parties and get your Star Wars thing on and all that. Like, people are gonna hold you to task if you don't finish the journey that you made us care about. Doesn't mean that you're gonna do anything, but I like the fact that people's legacies are possibly gonna go down in flames.
Yo, Cameron, are you
They
gonna
absolutely are.
If they half-assed it.
Cameron, are you gonna go live sometime tonight, or do you have enough time to do a video, like a hangout with Joey or something?
I might. It just all depends if Mr. C is. He's having
Hey,
a connection.
that commentary tonight for what was it? T3? No, Die Hard 3.
Oh Lord,
Yeah, we're gonna have
I'm not
to
ready
do
for that. I need some sedatives first. I've only seen that movie in time, so
We did talk about the Game of Thrones fan petition, which is almost at 700,000 signatures as of right now.
Fuck it, I'll sign it just to see what happens.
I think
you know what's. Oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
What I was gonna say, what's gonna happen is because they've confirmed that Benioff and Weiss are doing the next Star Wars trilogy, but they're not directors. So I have a feeling they're gonna get Rian Johnson to direct this whole trilogy with them producing it,
God.
and that's gonna make the internet explode. Because I think they merged. I think they merged their trilogy together. So
that would be
hold on tight.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, gosh, that would break the internet. I think that would break the internet for real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Real quick, Cameron, thoughts on Blair Witch? It's 20 years old. In July.
Which one? The original?
99. Yeah.
First time I saw it, I didn't like it, and then I warmed up to it because I fell in the blue when the DVD came out, and it had that whole 45-minute origin documentary. I felt like, I wish I had seen this before I'd seen the movie. I didn't realize that they were going multimedia with this thing. So I thought everything I needed to know was going to be in the movie. It turns out I had to see that documentary before to understand the movie, the whole legend and stuff. So when I saw it, I liked it. I don't know, but I liked Blair Witch 2 from the first time I saw it. I went to see a sneak preview. I love Blair Witch 2, but I wish I could have seen the full cut version. But I think Blair Witch 2 is much better than anyone gave it credit for at the time.
Yeah, I would like to see Berlinger's director's cut of that movie. I think it could be be pretty interesting.
Well, the original DVD, you could put it in your disk drive of your computer, and it had clips from his director's cut and showed you how different it was. And but I don't think those have ever been like released on YouTube.
Wow.
Oh, can I play it on my CD-ROM drive?
Yeah, I mean the beginning of the film, the Artisan movie begins with Marilyn Manson, but Joe Berlinger's cut began with Frank Sinatra's Witchcraft. I mean, that's a whole different movie right there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that definitely sets a different tone. So yeah. Oh goodness. Well, guys, we've gone for 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours at this point. Let's see, Cameron, we did a show about your wrap up show for Game of Thrones, so we won't go back into Game of Thrones because our audience does not like Game of Thrones apparently.
Nothing's worse. I've noticed nothing's worse than doing a live show about something and you're talking about it for a long period of time, and then you go to the live chat to see what they're saying, and no one's mentioned anything what you've been talking about. That's a horrible feeling.
Yeah, I think we had maybe one or two people who watch it, but it seemed like most of the chat was like, Game of Thrones sucks. It's boring. It should be called Lame of Thrones.
I haven't seen Twin Peaks, so every time I watch the great channel Obnoxious and Anonymous, I mean, I just want to know what cereals you guys have out in California, stuff like that. That means
I should start doing that as a video series. I'll probably get more views.
I like your shelf vids, man. Those are pretty cool.
Everybody loves cereal.
Nobody watches them. Or I love doing them, but nobody cares what movies I have on my shelf. But people care what's in the sickness as on the shelf.
I care. Okay.
All right.
I care.
I think it's fun because a lot of times I forget what I have.
No, well, people can show off the shit that they buy, and that's cool. But if it's a really limited collector's edition or something from overseas that's really rare, I think that's awesome. Or not limited like Twilight Time, that's stupid as shit. But when people go over the special features, or they show their whole collections, or they have certain areas of their collection that they're showing off, or like Piz has all the Myers masks behind him, like that's cool, or a bunch of Funko Pops. I like that. But like when people are just like, I have 20 PS4 games and this is cool, and then they name them off and it's like a 3-minute video, I want to kill myself. The same thing goes for movies. Like that's why I deleted all my like DVD updates. Well, most of them, as I bought this on Black Friday. I had like a stack of like 50 movies. They're all like $2 a piece.
My favorite part of Piz's reviews, if I can say this, my favorite parts of your reviews, Piz, are when you say special features and you go through the whole list of special features, and then you say this special feature is an interview. It runs 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and they discuss boom, boom, boom. And I think, well, I guess I don't have to watch that 2 minutes then. You just told me everything.
Well, especially those short ones on the new Blu-ray releases. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're terrible. Yeah, all those ones that are like under 20 minutes now, so they don't have to pay any of the interviewees. Yeah,
he's crazy. Got his little yellow notepad. He's like, all right, there's like 5 commentaries on this one.
Piz scares me when he whips out that pad of paper and you see there's like 7 pages written.
He's like the first 3 were good. The 4th one I don't even give a shit about, and the 5th one has a bunch of people who I hate in the film. So, anyways, back to deleted scenes. That's the next special feature.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of times I'll watch Piz's reviews up until the special features, and then I go, I want to be surprised. I want to be surprised.
I had a moment like you mentioned earlier the other day, looking through my collection, Cameron, because I was sure that I owned Howling 7: New Moon Rising, which we can all agree is the best Howling movie in the series. I apparently do not own it. I thought for sure I owned it, and I don't. Not that that's a huge loss, but then I was like, well, how much surely this thing's on YouTube? No. I was like, well, surely I can get the DVD on eBay used for $1. No, they want $35 for the thing. I'm like,
it would cost more to buy that DVD than to simply reshoot what they shot.
Well, that's probably
yeah. Is that the one in the country bar?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Piz, you have so many people that watch your show. Can't someone just lend you it?
I mean, they may not even own it themselves. I mean, it's, I don't know. But I was like,
library there wouldn't mind you to not return it. It has
well, I was like, guys, I can't, wrap up that Howling series review because shocker, don't own New Moon Rising. So
sometimes
I will wait.
So good.
I was gonna say I'm gonna wager money that Scream Factory will never put out that box set.
No.
Sometimes just weird stuff goes out of print. Like you can get every Hellraiser. Everyone's really easy to find and easy to get, except Deader, and it's actually a really good film. Yep. And that one goes for insane. How much?
I know Deader is one of the better ones, and it's impossible to find on Blu-ray.
And it goes for like last time I checked, it was like 100. It's probably like 500 and has a Twilight Time.
It's $3 on Vudu to buy. HD, so
but the collector's got to have it.
And that's what I did. And if they pull it off my account for some reason, it's Hellraiser Deader. So I'm not worried about it.
you type in search, you're like deader, and then you're just like, oh man, you rebuy it for another $2.99. Like,
Well,
fuck it.
who's remaking Hellraiser now? Who's the
Oh,
guy?
Goyer is writing it. David.
Oh
Goyer.
Lord! Okay, we got him. We got Chris Rock doing
Like,
Saw, which I'm okay
Steve
with.
Harvey's working on that also, right, Piz?
Yeah, so we have
he's writing the new Leprechaun series.
Uh-huh.
we have Chris Rock doing Saw. We have what's his name? Kenny Powers doing Halloween. Danny McBride. As I said this morning, when is Amy Schumer remaking Thinner?
Ugh, gross.
Oh Jesus! Oh God!
My pussy's so gross. Look how nasty it is. Okay, that was all of her stand-up specials.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. You want to see a good woman comedian? Sarah Silverman, Whitney Cummings.
Plenty
There you
out there,
go.
but she's not one of them.
It's no.
Hey, Piz, you're in the know. When It Chapter 2 comes out, are they going to release the director's cut of Chapter 1?
That
You
would
heard
be
anything
cool.
about that?
No, that would be cool though.
Oh, okay. I've just been hearing that was their plan, and I don't know if their plan's really going to happen or not. So,
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
or are they going to wait and do a Kill Bill double feature one film on it? Going to combine it afterwards as one epic film.
Well, they said the whole bloody affair or something like that. The whole whatever it's called.
The whole clown affair. Speaking of clowns, though, we got Clown NATO coming out.
Oh, thank
So
God.
that trailer's been making the rounds.
You serious?
Are they
Yeah,
making
yeah,
a
I'm not kidding.
Sharknado 6?
That's for real. That's for real.
It's a spinoff, Clown NATO.
Yeah, but are they
Direct-
making a Sharknado 6? I haven't seen the first one yet. I'm
No.
way behind.
No,
So,
is
so
Vic-
clowns
is Victor
in a
Salva
tornado.
directing this one? Yeah, Clowns in a Tornado.
They've
Victor
moved
Salva's
on.
not directing it.
Hey,
What's
whatever, man.
Next, Alligator NATO or some shit. Alanado. Something.
I want to see Orc NATO.
Yeah, dude. Memes.
That would be sick. That would
Fat
be-
guys with McGriddles
Dorothy and
flying
the Wizard of
around.
Oz. Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz opens up her window and sees Orc with fly monkey wings and
I
riding
got a
a broom. That'd be
McGriddle
awesome.
piece of pizza flying
And you
around.
just
Linnea
and you just
Quigley's
look
in
at
it.
her and you just look at her and say, "Dank."
Linnea Quigley's in it. You know it's gonna be good.
Oh yeah, you know it's going to be good then. Oh geez, well guys, why don't we go ahead and call it a night? I think we need to. I think we may need to wrap up season 7 of the show very soon, guys. I think we may need a season finale. So
Will it be one of those Who Survives episodes?
it very well could be. I may have work executed next episode. I don't know.
I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm below rock bottom right now. Fuck it, dude. Fuck it.
Oh geez. Anyway, well guys, big thanks to everybody in the chat who tuned in tonight. DJ Barbecue Network, Marbsy. Let's see who's still with us here. Steve, who very graciously offered me his copy of Howling New Moon Rising.
That's
So
a true
thank
friend
you,
right
Steve.
there.
That's a true friend. Steve messaged me.
What number
I
is
have
that?
I,
Eight,
I have to
nine?
say this
Number
before you
7.
finish your
Number 7.
okay.
I have to say this before you finish your shout outs, Piz. DJ, if you'd like to play any PlayStation game with me at all, buy Black Ops 4 and we can own noobs. And then Barbecue Network, Kenny Tar, I will join a hangout if you can send me the correct link. I love both of you guys. That's as easy as I can make it. Make it happen.
Hey, Piz,
Sure.
there is a new Howling reboot that's not part of your video series.
I know.
Is that a conscious decision?
That was a conscious decision because in my world, the Howling series ended at New Moon Rising.
So no Reborn.
No Reborn. No, I don't count it. Don't
Oh
count
man, the sad thing is I've seen all of this, but
I'm not going to feel complete.
Oh, geez.
God, what marsupials is 3.
Marsupials is 3. Then
4 is not good.
I'm not either. Lauren, did you have the playlist set up and it has that empty spot where it doesn't have the 7th one? I hate when that happens.
4 is called The Original Nightmare. 5 is called The Rebirth. Howling 6 is The Freaks. and Halloween
Okay.
7 is New Moon Rising.
I think I've seen them all.
And he is Reborn.
Yes. Our old buddy Chris Wynn was in the chat tonight. He says, did you hear about the Cliffhanger remake with the female lead? Stallone is endorsing it. I did hear something about that.
Also, there's the Doom remake, which Rambo and Michael King are going off about, and that has a female lead too.
Well, that just looks absolutely awful.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to a female lead at all.
No, but like the gun's bigger than she is. I'm like, come on.
Well, Cliffhanger could work fine with a female lead. There's no reason that
Yeah.
would be a problem. Doom just looks like a bad movie, no matter
Yeah.
what's leading it.
Pretty much.
It's-
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's a tough game to turn into a movie.
No. Johnny Dean, Roland 666. Our old buddy Jason Lima was with us for a while. Adam Bomb Cinema in 3D, Mr. McNugget, Andrew. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it. We talked about the new Predator game last week, just briefly. There's really not a whole lot to talk about. But you know, hopefully it's good. I like Predator. I'm assuming it's probably going to be like Friday the 13th, only instead of being Jason, you're the Predator. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I just, at this point, dude, I would just, that year of Friday the 13th, when we were constantly getting lied to and jumping on houses and like walking on water and getting stuck in between a tree and an outhouse, you know, that had a huge gap. I just hope there's some franchise, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street, any of those, you know, Halloween, that just has another game, but with like a studio that can actually back it and developers. Because those games are a lot of fun to play, but I could never get into like what's it called, Dead by Daylight or no wait,
Yeah, I think so.
or wait, I don't know, but I don't know, but I hope another game comes out that's like Friday the 13th because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I couldn't get into that game either. Chris Wynn says, Piaz, wasn't Peter Brackey making a Camp Blood card game? I don't know. I don't believe so. I know he's working on a new book, and he's working on doing extras for Blu-ray releases for Scream Factory now. So I mean, he's pretty busy guy.
Did you guys talk about The Shining tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Lauren mentioned it, that it's coming to 4K.
Right, but all the crazy ass rumors going around about it.
Oh, like what?
Well, they put Warner Brothers right now has it saying 146 minutes, and 144 minutes has always been the US cut. 146 would mean that the coda has been put back in that Kubrick cut out after it played in the theater for 2 days. He pulled back the prints and took out this coda. I personally think it's got to be a misprint. I'm not imagine the Kubrick estate allowing the original cut of it to be released, especially since in the US we don't even have the European 2-hour cut released here. But anyway, so all these websites are now reporting that the coda is in the film, only going off the WB time stamp that they're giving it, not actual confirmation. So don't get excited out there. Get it for the 4K, but don't be surprised if the coda is not in it.
What did the coda say?
It was Shelley Duvall and the little boy in the hospital after everything's over, and then it cut from them. There's some if you Google it, there are images from that on there on a site, and then from there it went to the picture in the hallway of Jack in the picture. But there was a 2-minute thing of her and Danny in the hospital, and Kubrick released it in the US as part of the movie, and then 2 or 3 days later he pulled all the prints back and had all the projectionists cut it out.
Wow.
And then they re-released it. So but people are saying that scene is going to be back in the film based on the timeline, but I don't know. I mean, if Warner Bros comes out and says it is, great, but I would love to, if you're going to do a 4K, let's do Apocalypse Now with it. Let's get the US cut, the European cut, and the extended version of it.
Yeah, that would be
because the Europeans 2 hours, they cut out 30 minutes. and that was Kubrick's preferred version, believe it or not. So
that would be interesting if it includes the
yeah,
coda.
if you Google it and just type in "shining ending" or whatever, there's websites that actually have stills from the still photographer of that scene.
Oh, that's cool. Well, I mean, Kubrick was apparently still cutting that movie years after it was released. I was listening to an interview with Toby Hooper years ago, and he mentioned meeting Kubrick, and that like Kubrick's assistant or something like had asked Toby, "Do you want to meet Stanley Kubrick?" He was like, "Well, sure." So Kubrick was in an editing room, and the assistant went in and told Stanley Kubrick, Toby Hooper's here if you want to speak to him. Said Kubrick ran out of the room and gave him a big hug and brought him into the editing room, and they were talking and blah, blah, blah. And Toby Hooper noticed that he was editing The Shining. And it was like 5 or 6 years after the movie had come out. He was still editing The Shining all those years later. That's, obsessive, maybe you could call Kubrick.
It's possible that it's not actually the coda that's back in the film. There was a flashback sequence of Danny getting his arm broken by his father that was also in a lot of the early cuts, and it was still in some of the European prints. That scene could be back too. That's the other option. But it's one of the two. If it's real, it's not just a misprint. It's one of the two.
That'd be interesting.
If it's real, I know you guys have already made the transition. If it's real, I will be going 4K because I'm not gonna not have that in my collection. So.
Yeah, I'll definitely. Oh goodness. Well, guys, let's call it a night. We will return next week. Y'all have a great. Let's see. Will we return? Actually, guys, I think I'm going to be out of town next week. Oh goodness.
So the last Thursday in May will be our season finale.
Yes. Let's do the 30th. Will be our season 7 finale.
I gotta say this too. Friday or Saturday, or just sometime this weekend, try and go see John Wick 3.
John Wick 3.
All the way, baby.
I'm hearing great things.
That's where Monty is tonight, as a matter of fact. So,
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys have a great week. Thanks to everybody who joined me tonight. Stingray, Lauren, Cameron, Orc, Eric, and a big thanks to everybody who tuned in. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a great one. Till then, peace.